Okay, so let's take us up on mics. Okay, we're going to gavel in at 8:59 a.m. And we'll note for the record that there was a meeting noticed at 8:15 for the Road District Number 4 meeting. And we're going to pass on that for right this moment and go into workshop, which is what we're calling to order here at this time. And I would ask that you guys stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to our Texas flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, super. So for this workshop, which is really a budget workshop that'll take place for the rest of the week, we've got all our department heads lined up, but it is Monday, June 6th, and for the record, we're here at Commissioner's Courtroom at the County Courthouse, 901 Leopard. Commissioner Hernandez is present, Commissioner Amadas is present online, Commissioner Chesney is present online, and that is the extent of our folks. Are there any other? So I'm not necessarily certified that there's a quorum, but I think for the purposes of workshop, according to our county attorney, we can proceed. Is that correct? Just want to get you on the record to say that we're okay to just to receive information at this time, given there's only two of us physically present in the courtroom.
Just so long as there's no deliberation.
There will be no deliberations. We'll just receive information, and we'll call upon Rebecca Rock, who's here first to present for her department, which is Social Services.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have three departments to report on this morning, and I'll just start with 4110. And so what you can see on the screen are the requests we've made. One is for rent, and that's for our rent at the RTA office. That's per contract. The second one, the rent increase for licensing and fees. Just last week, we decided not to renew that contract, so I believe that can be removed.
So who started? I mean,
Yeah.
it started.
Hang on, Rebecca, real quick, like. Yeah, so they said that. We could have receive information. Do you disagree? We have to have a quorum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting some different information, and I do apologize, Rebecca, but Commissioner Chesney, I am getting information that differs from what we just previously heard, that a workshop absolutely does require, since it's been noticed under Texas Open Meetings Act, that we do need a quorum. So I'm going to have to put a pause on it. I apologize, Rebecca. I don't think we.
If you look at the AG open meeting handbook, it doesn't say that. It just says that a person online, I think the governor's order is the clarification stuff, but whatever. If you read the AG Open Meetings Act, it says that someone who's on Zoom is considered there, and that's all the AG Open Meeting Act talks about, but whatever everybody wants to do.
Well,
I'm
I'm
not
just.
disagreeing with you, Judge. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
and
agree.
I was
I
ready
don't
to
agree with the
proceed,
perspective.
but I've gotten new information that makes me believe that it's in our best interest to wait. And actually, now that the 10 minutes, we're almost at that 10-minute mark that Gonzalez said he would be here. So I guess we'll pause at this moment. Again, I do apologize for those of you online.
Sorry about that.
No worries, we are good to go now. I'm going to go back and ask Connie to bring us back online with recording. And it's kind of coming back on the record here at 9:08 a.m. And we are going to ask Rebecca to go right into her presentation. And just repeat, you
I
hadn't
will.
gotten
No,
too far at all.
Two sentences
Two
in.
sentences in, so why don't
Oh.
you go ahead and repeat it?
I'll wait till Connie gets it up. Okay, there we go. 4110, social services. We have a request for rent as per our contract. That's for our RTA office. And then the second one you see there, the request for our licensing fee for renewal. We chose just last week not to renew that. So we can remove that. We are asking for new client management software. We don't have any estimates yet, so this number is a very rough estimate. We'll work with Daryl and start moving forward on that shortly. And then I have several personnel reclassifications. The other thing I have in 4110 is monitors, 4 mobile hotspots, and I think that's about it for 4110.
I just kind of, maybe Dale can help us since we write notes here on IT piece. The way I read this is inside IT and he doesn't require any dollars. It's just that you're letting us know that that software needs to be procured by IT
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
Got it.
That's
And
correct.
God bless you. Got it. Okay, thank you so much. Okay,
So for my budget reclassifications, what I emailed didn't quite make it into the packet, so you have packets on your desk. And commissioners, it was emailed also for the ones that aren't here in person. And I tried to give you a breakdown. The first page, we can look at, I have executive administrative assistant position. That's in there, Connie. That one is in there.
okay.
I think just keep going, Connie.
Yeah.
Maybe a little.
Everybody stop.
Sorry.
Keep going. Yeah.
We had a little bit of an issue with this particular position. We have been calling it Executive Administrative Assistant 2 position, and we only realized a couple of weeks ago that that was not the job title. There had been a job title last year that was never approved. So I'm telling you that this information I've provided you isn't as accurate as I would like, because when I did the research, I was looking for that particular job title. It's currently at a pay group 23, the administrative assistant position. And I am requesting that that go up to a 24 or a 25. HR has been supportive of the 24, which would be the supervisory, administrative supervisor position. And then the next positions are all case management positions, and they all tie together. And so I would just like to give you a little bit of a background on my case management situation. For many years, we only hired social workers. And at that time of hire, the social worker either had to already be licensed or eligible for licensure within the 6-month probationary period. We reached a point where we were mainly hiring new college graduates who then received their 6 months of training, passed the licensing exam, and then left us for better paying jobs. Or we had people who failed their licensing exam, and then we terminated their employment. We couldn't maintain an adequate staff. And that type of situation is just exhausting for people doing training constantly and for the morale in the department to have a revolving door. So between 2014 and 18, we worked with HR on a couple of different scenarios and variations. And eventually we transitioned from hiring social workers to hiring caseworkers. So they're still required to be degreed, but they're not required to have a social work license. So we're now at a stable point, it seems like, in our hiring practice. The staff I have now is experienced, they work hard to serve the clients, and I want to keep them working for the county. Just last year, I lost one experienced caseworker to a job that paid $26.90 an hour, which is $9.01 more than what we pay our caseworker, and she got a $3,000 sign-on bonus. And I realize we can't compete with that, but I would be remiss if I wasn't up here trying to advocate for my staff to get higher pay. So my goal in asking for reclassifications is staff retention. And hopefully, you know, when the time comes, it makes the job more attractive so we can hire qualified people. And although the probationary period is 6 months, it takes us about a year to have a case manager, caseworker fully trained to independently manage a caseload. And that's a lot of time and effort on everybody's part. So if we can keep that employee, we consider it a good investment. So in your packets, I tried to submit either similar job descriptions, job announcements, and data that reflects local or other county wages, of course with similar jobs. And I've also submitted a request to HR to review updated job duties that we've provided them against the pay grade scale. So in the first one, you'll see there, it's the caseworker position in the packet I gave you. So I provided you with 6 different job announcements. They're all local. The average hourly rate for those jobs is $21.06. We currently pay $17.89. You'll also see another Nueces County job description for a case manager that also pays higher. So I've provided you with this little snapshot, and it has, from the Bureau of Labor, it has national, state of Texas, and the metro area of Corpus, the pay rates, so that you can see where our pay for this position falls. So I'm requesting that they go from a pay group 20 to a 23. So the starting pay for that would be $20.60, which is still below what the metro area of Corpus is, and those jobs. The other thing I'm requesting is that there be a title change. I don't really know how to go about doing that. If it goes through the auditor, I would like them to be called case managers instead of case workers. You'll see that every job description there refers to them as a case manager, and that's just a better practice now in keeping with the standard of the profession. You're also provided with just a little spreadsheet that has the reclassification for a caseworker that has the jobs I provided with the breakdown. The lowest rate, the average rate, the highest rate, and just for reference. The next position is the social worker 2 position. It's currently paying $20.01 per hour. I've provided you with 3 job announcements from other counties. They all pay higher rates with less responsibilities for the job. The average rate from those other 3 county jobs is $24.07. This job does require licensure by the state, which then requires continuing education credits every year. You'll see that the metro area of Corpus for this job, $29.38, and we paid $20.01. So I'm requesting from a pay group 22 to a 26. And again, you'll have the breakdown of the job announcements I provided. The next job would be supervisory social work position. This is the supervisors that handle a team of case managers and social workers. There's job announcements from other counties that pay $28.50 per hour, and we pay $25.40 per hour. This also requires licensure. The metro area of Corpus pay $33.40. I've also included other Nueces County job descriptions of similar pay grades, so you can see where the supervisor social worker job compares to other Nueces County jobs that require bachelor's degree and certifications and that sort of thing. I tried to find the most similar jobs to compare. And again, you'll have a little breakdown of that. And the final one is the director position. When I reviewed the labor statistics, I found 2 job descriptions that the director position fits kind of with both of them. So I've included both of them for you to review. This job is currently at a 34, pay group 34. I'm requesting that it go to a 37. And then there's it looks like this. It's a little spreadsheet. It's blue and green and yellow. This is my best educated guess at determining salary requests for my staff and their positions. So I took all that data from the U.S. Labor, from the local job announcements, from county job descriptions and all that, and put it together. It tells you exactly how I came up with that amount. And so I can stand here and say the amounts I'm requesting are lower, still lower than what's out there. But I'm trying to be realistic. I know we can't all have everything. So you'll have the organizational chart. This just shows you the breakdown of our office and who the supervisors are, how many staff they're supervising. So are there any questions I can answer about the job reclassifications before I move on? Teresa has a question.
For the executive administrative assistant 2, your document has assistant director, but you're saying administrative supervisor?
Yes.
Pay group 24?
There is no executive administrative assistant 2. That was the job title transfer that was never completed. Or the title change, I'm sorry, not a transfer. So he's really an administrative assistant 2 now.
Want to go to pay group 24?
But his title will change, right?
To supervisor, administrative supervisor.
Right.
Okay, anything else?
But she said 24, 25, so
If you want to do 25, we'll be glad to accept that also.
I'm just telling what you said. I'm just telling what you said. But, you know, I mean, I don't blame you.
Oh, and the hotspots are budgeted in her department.
That's what I thought, yeah. I think those IT pieces are separate. No, I would just ask that everybody take a look at, you did a nice job on including all of your graphics at the very end of your presentation on just how much, increased, let's just say burials, for example, was the one thing that I noticed.
Oh, I'll get to that.
Okay. Okay.
I'm getting there. If we're done with 4110, we can move to 4120.
Let's do it.
Okay, so that's 4120 is where we spend our direct client services. Rent, mortgage, utilities, food, transportation, indigent burial, cremation. So what we're seeing this year is we're spending a lot more in burial and cremations, and we'll surpass our previous numbers pretty quickly. I have attached for you the consumer price index. I think we all know the cost of everything has gone up. So that affects our clients. So we've seen an increase in food in the home, for the home increase in energy, whether that's our gas to drive or gas in the home, electricity in the home. So I did ask for a 5% across the board increase on direct client services. I wish I would have asked for more, seeing that the way things are going. But I've attached the Corpus Christi area economic summary just to highlight the unemployment rate, and this was as of April. But you'll also see the 12-month change for energy, how much it had increased. For this program, we currently use 150% of the U.S. Health and Human Services poverty guideline to determine eligibility. So just to give you an idea, for a family of four, you have to be at or below 3,469 per month or 41,625 per year. And so I will adjust the allotments throughout the year. And in the slides I provided, we went back to 1819 since that was our last normal year before COVID. And Connie, there will be some slides in there that have graphics. And I really wanted to look at, the burials. Let me get over here. So in graphic 1,
I don't know where they are in here.
okay, I provided you a pack, it's on your desk also. It's a bar graph. It starts at 2018. Teresa has a copy she's holding up. See, it looks like that. So that just shows you the total number of services we provided. So a service would be one rent or one utility bill or one food voucher. That's the total services. And graph 2, you'll see, or page 2, the number of burials and cremations that we've provided. So you'll see that just this fiscal year, we're already up to 115. A couple of years ago, 117 was our total. So I would probably tell you that by today, we've surpassed that number. So I transfer money internally or through a budget change order to cover as burials go up. So on page 3, you'll see the total number of burials. And then page 4, you'll see the total number of cremations. We do about 65% burial, 35% cremations. And this isn't, these are the ones we paid for. This isn't the number of cases we worked. We work more cases than that. But of course, we're trying to get next of kin to, or the family to come up with the money to pay for it, and hopefully that's what happens. We find a next of kin and the county doesn't become responsible for it. Graphic 5 is the total number of food or household supply vouchers we've given out. That number usually goes up about now. Once school's out, we'll start spending more on food. Kids are home from school. And then page 6 and 7, you'll see total of all services and just our breakdown by percentage. So as far as the burials go, we average about working 17 cases a month. And so just one thing I do want to say about burials and cremations is the average price we pay for a burial is $1,855. And the price of cremation is $800. And of course, the prices for each of these changed based on size and weight. So the price difference is $1,055. It's the court's choice, and they can consider a rule to provide cremations as the primary option for final disposition, which would be a cost-saving method. Previous administrations favored providing both options, but we are seeing prices increase and the number of applicants increase, so that would be something the court could consider if they so choose. And that's all I have for 4120. Are there any questions?
No questions for Rebecca? Okay, Rebecca.
Okay, the next one is 4130, which is child services.
Rebecca, on your pie chart?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I don't see where you divide the pie chart with showing the burials or cremations. Is that separate or what?
The burials and cremations are the bar graph. They would be pages,
Okay, so it's not in this pie chart. on page
Well, it's
6.
it's included, that's the total number of services. So on
On the pie, it's in purple, but
it's the 8% or around the 8%.
Oh, that's what it is, purple? I do like black over here, okay.
But then if you'll go to your bar graph, it's on page 4.
Yeah.
It shows the actual burials and cremations. And on the pie, it's in purple.
Okey-doke.
You're good? Okay, go ahead to 4130.
Okay, 4130. We took over this department in 2016. We continue to work with CPS to serve Title IV-E children in foster or kinship care. And we assist with the temporary placement expenses for foster children. The services are partially reimbursable to the county through the Title IV-E program. And we are the liaison between the county budget and the Child Welfare Board. The board continues with its work to educate communities and families to prevent child abuse and neglect. And they do so by attending area events and engaging the public. We have no requests for changes to this budget this year.
Okay.
The other budgets that we do take care of that aren't, I guess, referenced here, well, we do 1350, which is CBCF and TXU. And in those submissions, I provided you with some CBCF narratives on clients that we assisted and some information that TXU provides to us. We also do 1351, which is the Children's Christmas Appeal Program, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. And so attached to that was some Christmas appeal stories that were published in the paper this year. So we helped 412 children this year. And then, of course, we also have EFSP grant, ARPA grant, the Veterans Assistance Grant, which will be $126,300 in direct client services. So again, we will be helping the veterans with rent, mortgage, food, utilities, and veteran burials. Of course, we still have the TMAP money. We also do work with the City of Corpus Gas Department on Operation Heat Help. And we work with the Corpus Christi Association of Realtors on the Walk with Pride Shoe Drive, which is coming up. So those are our other budgets that we manage. And that's all I have for you.
Okay.
Any questions?
Gentlemen online, any questions for Rebecca? No one has anything here. We'd like to excuse her. And I'm just going to offer this to Auditor and Ide and Teresa. You all can also, any questions, it helps us if you'll ask while they're right here. That way, when we get into budget, we don't have to call them. No questions, everyone understands the requests?
Rebecca, you're at 34, you're at 34?
I'm at 34.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I really like my staff, and I want to keep them here. And we've worked a long time to get where we are with our staff, and they're good. They're good to our clients, and they serve our community well. So anything is appreciated, and we know they're not paid as well as some other places in the community right here. I certainly don't want to lose them.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we can go back to my budget workshop presentations. We have tax assessor collector. Excuse me, we have one question, but go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead and get queued up. You want to go ahead and go do that? All right, Kevin, we're going to ask you to go ahead and pass everything out, but watch how fast we can move out of workshop and into a Road District 4 meeting. If you just be a little patient with us, we need to take care of some housekeeping on one particular item. So I'm going to gavel us out of our budget workshop at 9:33 a.m. and ask that we convene our Road District Number 4 meeting at this time. We do have a quorum, and so I certify for the clerk that we do have 3 physical commissioners present, and we have one item, but I do need to ask if there's any disclosures at this time on conflicts of interest. Any announcement on conflicts of interest at this time with this particular item, with TMI
No,
Solutions?
Motion to pass, Judge?
Okay, let me just announce for the clerk. I'll go ahead and second, but this is the announcement of item 2A for the clerk. It's a consider funding and approval of TMI Solutions LLC proposal for a topographic survey of potential Bob Hall Pier parking lot, access road 6 and surrounding area. And there's a motion and a second. Are there any questions? This would be funded either out of our Bob Hall Pier funds that have been
No,
already, I'm sorry, from the Road District Number 4 funds for Bob Hall. And that amount is, do you mind, just for the record, for Emma?
16,285.
Okay, 16,285. We've got a motion and a second. Any discussion or concerns, comments? Hearing,
I got a question.
we've got a question. Go ahead.
Okay, this 16,000, and it's going to the parking lot, is that the parking lot's gonna be adjacent to the road, or the road goes to the parking lot, or what?
This is a survey, this was the follow-up item to fund the item that we previously passed in the prior meeting, subject to the Road District 4 being called. It's a survey that we're doing on the back, behind the dunes parking lot to determine what we need to do with that. In other words, whether we build that back there or not. We have a lot of drainage issues and utility issues out back there that need to be addressed. And so this is a survey that we have to do to address those utility/drainage/road issues back in that area.
Okay, I'm glad you said /road issues area, so it's okay. As long as you said /road issues, that's okay. So, because they include in the road, right?
That's correct.
Well, in other words, when you have the Road District 4 allows you to also deal with drainage and utilities related to the roads.
Okay.
And so this survey will deal with all of those issues to see what we need to do back there.
Okay. Move for the question.
Just one note, those funds will be transferred to the Bob Hall Pier parking lot reconstruction project.
Okay, Commissioner, did you hear that? She's going
Yes,
to make
correct.
that transfer.
Right, we're just funding it with Road
That's
District 4
correct.
funds, but it's going to that project. If that's what Teresa needs to do to make
Yeah.
that work, that's certainly fine.
No worries. All right, in that case, I've got a motion and a second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay,
Motion to adjourn Road District 4 meeting?
Second.
okay, adjournment's non-debatable. So we will adjourn this meeting, and the time for the clerk is 9:36. And again, we will at 9:36 as well go back into our budget workshop, and we have Kevin Kieschnick here to help us get to Department 1200, Tax Assessor Collector. Welcome, Kevin.
Yeah, just 1 second. The clerk is telling me that we're missing items C and D, Judge,
See?
which is the conflict of interest.
I did that
Oh,
already.
you did that? Okay.
I did that when I opened up. I asked if anybody had any conflict of interest on TMI. You'll hear it on the tape. Of course. Now, you're absolutely right. I did not call for public comment. So let me ask if there are any public comments with regards to this topographic survey. Is it, or any other public comment?
No.
Okay, and I had none signed up, so forgive me that I didn't actually articulate it, but we have none online and none signed up for the clerk. Okay, thank you. And again, if you'd like to, we can call it 9:37 now. And now, Kevin, as they say, you may take it away with your budget.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to start first with the handout that I gave you guys, because I always want, anytime I ask for an increase, I want to give a reason for that. And in the past, when we've asked for some increases, I've failed to kind of give you guys a good snapshot of really what's going on in terms of the increase in demands that we're having for both motor vehicle and property tax side. And so what you're going to look at, I want you to take a look at the handout that's got the fee income that I just gave to you guys there on top. You'll see it says, it's, the heading at the very top says per parcel collection fee amount collected, and it's not limited to just that, but that's just the first item on that sheet. And what we're going to go over here are the fees that we bring in as a tax assessor collector's office. Is we don't just collect taxes here, we deal with motor vehicle. Motor vehicle brings in a lot of money to Nueces County, and these fees that we're going to discuss here do not include the road and bridge fee that is included. So I'll make sure everybody's very clear. These are strictly fees that we bring in that do not touch ad valorem taxes. So year over year, we have been averaging about a 10 to 13% increase across the board in fees, and that is representative not because of any fee increases, but because of the amount of growth that we've been seeing in Nueces County. And this has been going on pretty consistently since I've been in office, and it has nothing to do with me being in office. We're growing, and we're seeing the demands for our service. And the reason I'm asking for the increases that we're asking for is, sad to say, we don't even have enough staff to answer the phones anymore, to answer the questions that people who are paying our bills, and that's just simply not acceptable. And so what I want to show you guys is how much fee income our office actually brings in as a result of these. So if you'll take a look, going through, I want to explain what per parcel is first. Per parcel is how we share the cost of collecting taxes with the other 36 taxing units in Nueces County. That is a shared cost that we charge each of the units based on the amount of bills we have to send out collectively in our consolidated tax bill. And so we bring in $1 million and $1,040,983 is going to be the 2022 anticipated income from the taxing units for our tax collection. So it's a shared expense for those bills. If you will go down then to general services is pretty much everything else: beer, liquor, wine, permits, fees, those sort of things. We're going to anticipate bringing in $218,186 in that, which is up about 12.89% over the last 3 years. Motor vehicle has seen a rather large increase. If you look at fiscal year 2019, 2020, these are the fees that TXDMV pays us. We brought in $4,095,188 in 2020. In 21, when we had the COVID and everything going on, even though our sales tax numbers dropped, our fee increase went up over $500,000 that year alone that we still collected because the volume was still there. And that went up to almost $4.6 million. And we're anticipating it to be around $4.8 million for 2022 based on the current numbers, which represents about a 13% increase over there. And then the motor vehicle sales tax, which is a separate component that comes in 2020, we brought in almost $3.2 million, $3.167. In 2021, it dropped as we saw a lot of vehicle sales, at least on the new side, pretty much go away temporarily. It dropped about 200,000, but then it's come back up this year to $3.6 million, and you'll see the attachments there on the back from the award from the controller's office on that. So just in the last 3 years, our fee increases have gone up $1.21 million, and that's putting a tremendous stress on the existing staff levels that we have, and we're not able to serve the public with the staffing levels that we've gotten. So unfortunately, there's way too many times when we hear people complaining, "Hey, is anybody going to answer the phone down there?" I mean, that irritates me, and it irritates the taxpayers. And the taxpayers have every right to be irritated that their phone and their answers are not being not being answered for the questions they have about the things that they are doing to pay our county. And so that's the reason why we're asking for the staff increases that we are. We're trying to establish a call center and streamline how our calls get routed to make sure that their questions are answered in in a timely manner and that their phone calls get returned. And we're actually in the process of working on that. One way or another, whether it's funded or not, we're going to do that. That may mean closing windows or something along those lines and forcing people to go electronic if we can't get the staffing levels that we need to. So one way or another, we're gonna get the call center put up this upcoming session. But I really hope that if you look at that $9.8 million, almost $10 million in fees that we bring in, that doesn't even touch our ad valorem taxes rates that we apply for. I would hope that we can get some investment put back in our department for the people who pay our bills. So, going into the specific requests now, I'm gonna start first. Each year on our general budget, we have some fluctuating things that happen. Mail is a big piece of that. Next year is not a mass mail out for voter registration cards as stipulated by state election code. So you'll see that there's a reduction there of 49,000, and we see this every other year. This is an off year, so the $49,000 will not happen this year, and then it'll be added back to the budget next year. We have a software and service maintenance agreement, $15,600. That is for our keyless system we have downstairs. That has helped us tremendously. It's really streamlined our processes. I'm sure most of you guys have heard really nice comments about that, and it seems to be working quite well. But that is a contractual obligation of $14,160 we have to renew that in order to continue using it. We have 4 extra RTS workstations we leased from the state, and these would be for the call center, and that's $1,440. Going to 5410, other services and charges, that's going down. It's all related to state mandated voter certificate mailouts. That's just an expense item that won't happen this year. It'll be added back in next year. And, we do this, 1 year we use it, 1 year we don't. And so we take it out in those years that we don't. And then fees and permits. I have a question for the court. Where are we at with the game room ordinance? Does that look like something that's going to pass? Is it something that we're going to continue to pursue? And the reason for that question is the stickers that go along with that game room ordinance are expensive. And so we need to know whether we're going to need to, this next item, the under fees and permits, that's going to depend on whether that game room ordinance is approved or not, because we got to increase the cost for that to anticipate for those stickers.
So I'm going to answer your question and then also defer to Jenny for timeline. But the court did pass a game room regulation.
Okay.
And where we are is we actually created at our last court a timeline to have that done by the next fiscal year.
Okay.
But the actual permit application and the process that will be handled by the clerk's office has not been brought forth yet. That's probably a best fair assessment. So as far as time, I'd say look to new fiscal year to actually have those brought forth unless some court action or something else takes precedence.
Yeah, so it's going to be real critical that we're communicated with, because the stickers that go on the coin-operated machines that go along with that ordinance will have to be ordered, because there's going to be a tremendous uptick in the number of sales that go along with those. So that's what that $4,536 represents. So that's anticipatory. It's a hard cost that's going to go along with that. And of course, there's going to be income to offset that, obviously. So just be aware that that's what that number's, and we need to make sure we have some, Ralph is here. What's the timeline, Ralph, that it takes to get those? It takes about 3 weeks from the time we order them to the time we receive them.
That's good to know.
So just FYI on that.
Thank you.
Okay, and then capital outlay, we've got $49,905, and we got some desk and chairs. And let me get to my capital outlay notes.
Kisnick, I got one question on the stickers.
Yes.
So once you order the stickers and you provide them, I guess, to the clerk's office, if they're gonna handle it, or, then y'all keep tabs on the numbers of the stickers as far as how many?
There is no way for us to keep tabs on that. The ordinance requires that they purchase stickers, and I believe that that's gonna be the enforcement side of the gamer. I think they're supposed, if I'm not mistaken from what I've read, they're supposed to provide proof that they've paid for their stickers and have them on the machines. We don't have any enforcement arms within our office, so
Right,
that's
no.
gonna be based on the
I'm
enforcement
just
side of
saying,
it.
you would know what you ordered from what number to what number, right? I mean,
Right. They're numbered, yeah, so they're an accountable inventory item is what they are.
Okay, thanks.
And the fee that we bring in for those is $15 a sticker, and that's dictated by state statute.
Okay.
Okay, and then on the capital outlay, one of the things we're trying to do is streamline our operations, and we are looking at what's called basically a automatic cash vault, so to speak, is kind of the best way to describe it. And what it is this thing actually counts down your tills and your drawers automatically. You put it in there and it actually does it for you. It's very quick. We saw one of these in operation in Denton County, and it cuts down on the number of people it requires to balance and do the things we have to do at the end of the day, and it really streamlines that process tremendously. So, the nice thing about these things is they don't get sick and they don't cost insurance, so.
And they last,
And they
right?
last for a very, very long time. We use these when I worked at the bank, and they're phenomenal. And this will really streamline, especially our processes. And as we talked about, if one day we get to the point where we're in a single place in a single operation, we can really maximize at that point. But for the time being, we really need to use that down in the motor vehicle department just because of the number of tills we have, and they're really awesome. It really reduces money. They're designed for retail applications and dealing with high currency numbers like we see, and it basically helps with our deposits and everything like that. So it'll cut down on some of the required man hours that we have there.
And that's that 49.9.
That's that $49,000 item.
Yeah,
That's
and I
on there.
kind of promised myself I would just listen and not offer help before I hear everybody, but on this one, I think we can make a great argument that if you feel stretched on capital, Dale, that this would be a great American Rescue Plan Act. I mean, it fits in administration, it fits in reduction of, there's so many areas I think this could fit in. And if not there, since it's a piece of equipment, I can see it being in CO's 21. I'm looking for great things to buy that actually have a real, longevity to them.
Yes.
I can see this being, anyway, I mention it because we're all here together. So I'm asking you, Ida and Dale, to mark this one. If capital outlay gets pushed, it should be in capital, okay? It should be. But if we're pushed or tight there, I think this one is something I would like to look into for either my COs or for, if this is a classic, has great rate of return on the human capital.
It does, yeah, because
So-
you're looking at a lifespan of probably 10, 15 years or
Yeah.
more on this machine.
So I just mark that one as being special, because you're gonna have a lot of capital requests here, like the sink and the carpet that you already have, and I'd rather see those go to capital and pull this one out, and let's fund it a different way. We've
Okay.
got the I've got the dollars, ARPA has the dollars, there's definitely good ways here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And then going down into into specifics now of the personnel request, I have, once we really dug into these numbers, I do have some concerns now of if this is actually gonna be enough to start our call center or not. But we got the cart, really, I got the cart before the horse and kind of just used a guesstimate based off of what we feel our volume was. And as I'm looking at these volume numbers that we've seen at the $9.8 million, we may need another person on top of this. I think but a lot of this is gonna depend too on how much the automated piece of our phone center removes. And so we're gonna just start conservative right now with the request as it stands. We may have to add some more down the road on this, but we've got to get these phone calls answered, and that's what the personnel increase request is for. The first one is for a supervisor for the call center. And then I've got 2 senior clerks. We already have 2 people working phones down in motor vehicles, so they're going to move upstairs and where the call center is going to be and be working out of that location. And we'll be relocating an RTS system up in that area. And we already have the space set up for that. We have a manager in the motor vehicle department currently that needs to be moved to a director. She has 28 employees and 3 satellite offices that she also oversees. And this gets her better in line with counties our size and the amount of responsibility that she has. It's taken her from a level 24 to a 28, and that's my request on the personnel.
Okay.
Do I have any questions from anybody?
No.
Hey,
No,
Kev-
only that it's very good and very helpful, your paperwork. Commissioner Gonzalez, you might have a
Kevin, you
question.
said the 2 senior clerks, times 2, that's 62,000. So you're really starting them off at 30,000? That's
Yeah, the senior clerk too, that's
pretty I mean, that's pretty way down there borderline. I thought we had talked about,
well, I'd like to see them get paid better than that.
Well, I'm
It's,
just- I'm
that's
just
just
saying.
based off of our current pay schedule that we have. Honestly, they're really not clerks. They're, Judge and I have talked about this, and I think you and I have talked about this. What they do in motor vehicle, there's a 500-page manual that they have to get and learn, and it takes about 6 to 9 months just to get them up to speed to where they're really functioning at full level at that point. They've got to be experts in everything from they almost have to be mini attorneys down there with the type of paperwork that we're looking
are you
at.
required to start them at that level? Or can you
Well,
go?
that's what's dictated to us by the that's where all of our senior clerks are at right now. I really think they should all be 17s personally.
I agree, I agree with you.
You know, at least, but you know, it's, when we did the budget, that's where we're at. We based it off of our current aspect. So if we do any increases like that and bring them up to 17s, I would bring these up to 17s.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Certainly.
Very good.
Right.
Anybody else online? We've got 2 commissioners online. Let me just ask.
Let me put one more point too. We are also having, like everybody else, a problem maintaining, and this leads into your question. We're having a hard time retaining employees, and we're losing people to pay. Sadly, our senior clerks get paid about what people get paid at HEB to be a cashier. And it's, with the fuel price increases and everything else, so it's, you know, the inflation that we're dealing with, I don't know how much longer we're gonna be able to get staff at the levels we're paying them currently and retain them. And then not to mention when we have a 6-9 month learning curve, and then they go to work somewhere else, right about the time we get them up where they need to be, they're working somewhere else.
Yep.
And I'm losing my veterans. So it's getting tougher and tougher. So, anyway.
We're appreciative. Kevin, I don't see any questions online from Commissioner Chesney or Modis, so I'll let you get on with your day.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're going to hear from Justice of the Peace, Thelma Rodriguez, and Judge is already here with us. And I'll have everybody turn to Department 3622 in your books, but she's coming forward as well. And thanks, Judge. Take that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. There was 2 sets of packets with you. Of course, the first one is what you should already have anyway, but I made a copy of it just to make sure that we all had that. There were some corrections that needed to be made, that had to be made, so I did those, and I did make them in your packet, the corrections. I am asking for a full-time clerk. Currently, I have 3 full-times, which is my supervisor, and then 2 full-time clerks, and then a part-time clerk. What I'm wanting to do, what I'm requesting from the court is that I change my part-timer to a full-timer, giving me 4 full-time, okay? So that would be, the total amount that I would need for my full-time clerk is the $37,873 amount. I currently have a budget of $13,000 for my part-timer, so that's the difference there. When you look at the budget where the breakdown is of everything, there was also a mistake that was made for the postage. And everything that I'm requesting here today, it all comes, it's all because of one reason, which is my truancy, okay? The postage, I need to increase, Becky did put, for 22-23 requests, she put -200, and she meant to put 2,000 there. So I did correct that. So instead of having 1,000 for postage, I'm requesting 2,000.
Okay.
And that's because, again, the volume of truancy that I have, and we require a lot of mail-outs.
Got it.
And it's just crazy how much postage we use throughout the year.
So Judge, just so I know, because it helps Dale, should I assume that this needs to be amended inside our, in our OpenGov?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Dale, would you please make that note? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to do that.
Okay, thank you, Judge, I appreciate that. So that's because of the parent cases, we mail out the notices, the parent contributing non-attendance cases. Those are all mail-outs. The truancy conduct for the student, those are summonses that we have to personally make to the students. They have to be personally served according to the law. And, but we also attempt to send the notices out in the mail also for the student, and they are separate notices. So that's just even more, added more, so we can make an attempt to get them there somehow. That is, of course, only if we are unable to serve them, okay? And then, so that's my total budget for there, for the, that we have. We also had a request that we had been given last year for our TV, that a big screen for my courtroom. And that was apparently approved, but somehow it just didn't come through. It was done last year, so we were just told to ask for it again this year.
And what we're going to do is you've got a nodding of the head from court administration.
Great.
I don't even think you need to ask. I think it should have, if it already got approved.
Well, that's what I
It just
thought,
needs to be
but-
done, but she's going to check back with you,
Okay, great.
okay?
And that's in
And this-
replacement of my.
appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much, I appreciate that. Now, that was on my first, the whole budget for, where everything goes back to the truancy, the reason why I'm here
Yeah.
today, my main concern. In your second packet, the one
Judge,
that
let me
has.
ask you a question first.
Yes, Judge, I'm Commissioner.
Either one.
I still call you Judge, I'm sorry.
I'm still both, so. Listen, on the, when you mentioned 3 full-time, and I think everybody else says 4, right? I'm not sure.
No, actually, Judge Benavides has 5 full-time, Judge Woolsey has 5 full-time, and Santana has 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, also. And the reason that I'm here again to stress is that the truancy has slowly left all the other judges, and even now, they will no longer be filing in Judge Benavides' court. They're halfway through this past year, the school year, CCISD was filing everything with me.
And that was my point. I checked on that, and it's sort of, I understand what's happening, but I'm just thinking possibly dealing with truancy, would it help you more to do, I don't know if you want 2 part-time that, because of truancy, or,
Oh my
you know,
God, that would be
2
a
part-time instead of 1
blessing.
full-time, because that way, I mean, we don't have to pay the benefit, but you at least had them, both of them for what, 30 hours each, and, you know, might
Well-
be a little bit more money on the base side, but I think, you know, dealing with truancy, you might be able to be flexible on that.
Yeah, if I could have 2 part-timers, 30 hours each, because I do understand, I get it. I mean, I used to do the budget myself before when I was a clerk. But I do know that there's so much more than just the full-time employee. I know that we'll have to provide insurance and then also retirement, so I understand that part. But if in place of getting 1 full-time, we could get 2 part-times at 30 hours each, that would be a blessing, it really would be.
Okay, well, something to look at. I'm gonna-
Okay, yeah, and I know we discussed that. There are, in that second packet where it was the school, there is a letter from Delma Bernal. She is the director of the Office of Admissions, Attendance, and Student Support Services, and she just talks about what we've done for them this past year. That will not be in your PowerPoint, I'm sorry. That was something that I did on Friday at the last minute, so I do apologize that. But you've got it in your packet, and she just talks about that they are doing that because, you know, again, my office is efficient, effective, and we strive to always hear all the cases in the one school year, not not carry over into the next school year. But this is the first year that we were not able to do that. I will actually have to I am carrying over 300 cases that were not able to be heard this year. And it's just, my truancy clerk actually has 2 desks instead of 1, like all my other clerks have, because that's just the amount of volume of work that she has to process. And with the part-time, talking about that, we only pay our part-time your first packet, I did provide a copy of the NCF, the worksheet that we have to provide every 13 weeks of what we currently pay our temp. We currently pay our temp $10.28. And like Kevin said, you know, the same for me. You can get paid more at McDonald's, you know, at that rate, at that hourly rate. And it's very hard to keep our temps. But if we could, we pay our hourly rate to our full-time.
We hadn't raised our part-time, Dale, to $12 in some, I thought we had raised them to $12 in some areas. Not sure.
It's not in our budget currently.
Okay. I was asking Dale, see if they had raised some of the part-times to 12. I don't remember if we did in some areas or not.
We normally don't assign it as a full-time position for a part-time. We can put one in as a half a position because it's a part-time position, but we can do whatever the court desires.
Okay. Well, that's my question. Okay, thank you very much.
And it's very hard. I can't even get applicants to apply for my position because of the hourly rate for the part-time. If I get 3 or 4, I'm blessed. I'm lucky to have that many to interview. But the paperwork does show that our full-time clerk gets $14.91 hourly rate in the position at that step 1. And so when you times that the 90%, the most we can pay our temp is $13.42. So if we could raise it from $10.28, if nothing else, if we're not going to go with the 1 full-time and we go with the 2 temps, if we could raise that also hourly rate, it would be so much easier for us to get people interested in applying for my position, but right now we don't have it. And I did attach the schools that file with me. I have all of, not only CCISD, but I have all of Westoso, all of Flower Bluff, and then I have Richard Milburn Academy also. So I pretty much do all of Nueces County right now, except for the outer lane areas, which is, of course, Tolosa, Midway, Calallen, Robstown, and Bishop. Other than that, I pretty much hear all of the school districts for Corpus. Commissioner Jag and I have spoken about that. Honestly, I think that in the future, there's going to be a need for just a truancy court. Because that's how much I hear at some point in time within the state, my court is the #1 state in the whole state of Texas that has the most truancy.
And also for consistency.
Yes.
That's really why it's needed, so that it's not a forum shopping.
You know, and a lot of people ask me why we have so much truancy, if it's a problem that we have in our county, and I tell them not necessarily. When the law changed in 2015, Nueces County was one of the counties that was on board. We created that truancy committee that we had. I sat on that committee, and we were we were fast and efficient to get all of the documents that we needed that changed within the law legally, that we now had to change from failure to attend charges to truancy conduct for the student cases. And I always brag about, and I'm very proud of the fact that Nueces County was one of the counties that we were on board, making sure that we address these issues with our students, you know, to get them into court and to make sure that we get them back in school where they need to be. So, and that's the reason why Delma Bernal says that that's why she likes filing in my court, because of our efficiency and effectiveness, that we hear our cases promptly. We address them quickly. We usually hear them, I mean, come January, I hear nothing else but truancy Monday through Friday, morning and afternoon. I'm proud to say that I'm one of the JP judges, probably one of the only judges that is literally in court every day. On Wednesdays, that's the only day that I set aside to hear my evictions, because I also have the most evictions in Nueces County. So I am in court every day, Monday through Friday. It's hard to take some time off. I tell my family, my son is in the Air Force and he lives in Illinois, and he's always asking for me to go visit. And I tell him it's just so hard, son, with truancy. I can't take a day off. It's hard to do that. So.
Thank you, Judge, for all you do.
Any questions for me?
No, ma'am. Thank you. Any questions for Judge Rodriguez from our online commissioners? Okay, thank you, Judge, so much.
Thank you so much for
Appreciate it.
allowing me to speak this morning. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, time can be your enemy, as it was this morning, or it can be your friend. We have actually caught up and are now almost 10 minutes ahead of schedule. So it's now time for our county auditor to brief us. And if we stay ahead, we can take a small bathroom break right after this, okay?
Should have the Board of Judges here. They want to do a presentation on this, so
Okay, well
we
then
may
why
need to wait for
don't,
them.
we're gonna wait for them. They were not scheduled to be here till 10:15.
We'll take
Here
a
comes
break.
Miss Emily. You know what? They're walking in. Well, at least part of them. Some staff here, not quite. They're on their way. We'll just hold. We'll just wait for them.
I'm gonna just take a quick break while they're on the way then.
Yeah, we can. Would you like to, I lost our clerk anyway. Where did the clerk go? Well, anyway, it's 10:10. We'll just wait 5 minutes and ask everybody to, online, just to hold for us while we wait for the Board of Judges to come in. And we've got departments 3110, 3150, 3310 through 3380, and that's Board of Judges and County Auditor in this time slot. And who would like to begin? Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you all for allowing us to be in front of y'all this morning.
Yes, sir.
We wanted to speak on behalf of the Board of Judges and the court managers here in Nueces County. We have a little presentation we'd like to present, just showing a little bit of differences in various counties surrounding the area with population and the type of salary and staff compared to the various counties. So on page 2 of the slide here, we have Cameron County. The population, a little bit more than Nueces, and these numbers are from September 2021. So they are accurate as of 2021 September. The base salary in Cameron County is $46K. They are a general jurisdiction court, same as Nueces. However, the staffing in Cameron County includes 1 court manager and 1 coordinator for a district court, a court manager and an assistant coordinator for county courts, plus the district clerk's office, the court clerks. They aid in filing all notices and sending out settings and mailing out forms for their county. The next slide has Laredo. Now, Laredo County has a population that is less than Nueces. Their base salary is a little under Nueces County salary. However, their court structure, similar to ours, general jurisdiction, their staffing is far beyond what Nueces County has at this point. Each court in Laredo has a civil coordinator, a criminal coordinator, a court manager, AKA administrator, and a receptionist for each court. The next slide is Nueces. Our population, right in the middle of Cameron and Laredo, our base salary is comparable to the others. We are a general jurisdiction court, same as the others. However, each court here in Nueces, 1 court manager, period. We have no administration help. We have no receptionist as well. So we'd like to present that our salaries should either exceed, match, and/or have the assistance that other courts require. And I'd like to present Ms. Emily Waldrop to continue with the slides.
Very well. Good morning.
Good morning. So the Board of Judges Committee submitted this proposal for a court manager ladder that we based off of Harris County, starting with a court manager 1, no court experience, brand new to a court, probably with a new judge that comes in. Court manager 2 would be a pay group 26, move up a pay grade, have 4 years court management experience or a bachelor's degree. Court manager 3, move up to a 27 pay grade with 8 years court management experience or 4 years court management experience and a bachelor's degree. And then the certified court manager move up to a pay group 28 and have the certificate as a court manager or a master's degree and 4 years court manager experience.
Thank you. Judge Klein.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning,
morning.
Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present this to you this morning. We have not asked for an across-the-board raise for our court managers since, I believe, 2004. So it's now been 18 years. If the proposal does pass this year, next year, it will cost the county under $60,000 raise for all of court managers total. Our court managers are covering hundreds of cases every month. They are dealing with pro se, without representation, defendants in criminal cases, litigants in civil cases. They are often utilizing their Spanish or lack of Spanish skills to navigate the system. They come every day, they report every day. When they have to take time off, it paralyzes our courts, and that's just to show how much they do every day. They take work home, weekends. Ms. De La Cerda here has worked, Amanda, you want to come on? She has worked really hard on presenting the information so that we could put this proposal in front of y'all, and we're all open for any questions you might have. And again, we thank you for the opportunity to make this proposal and ask on behalf of our court managers.
Thank you. And I'll just point out that the order is included and signed by all,
By all of the judges,
by
yes,
all
ma'am.
of the judges.
Judge,
Okay.
are you asking for 68,000 across the board plus the court, staff?
We're only asking for the court managers, and the total raise per year would be under
Yeah, I heard that,
$60,000.
but I thought you were asking for both.
We're only asking for the court managers. We're not asking for the raise for anybody else.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this for all courts?
This is for all county courts at law and all district courts.
In answer to your question, Judge,
And if you, Judge Watts, just so that commissioners online can hear.
we are not asking for any additional staff to assist our court managers. Our court managers are jacks of all trades, and my court manager is one that stays till 7 until she gets the dockets done. They live on the phone, folks. They live on that phone because everybody that has anything in the courts are calling them continuously. So sometimes the work doesn't get done. But I think what we need to understand is that they need to be compensated for that extra time. They don't get time and a half. So when they work longer than the 40-hour day, they in effect are working on their own nickel. And most of our court managers are so diligent and so hardworking. The bottom line is they don't want to get behind, because if they get behind, the court gets behind. And the one point
our court managers are seldom out for illness because they know what happens when they're out. It just piles up, and it's even worse to deal with the backlog, which we are all dealing with right now. So I encourage you to really consider this on a merit basis, based on experience and the job that they are doing.
Thank you.
Okay, that answered my question.
Amanda, did you want
Thank
to
you,
say
Judge.
something?
You know, I would just like to add that I think when you look at the proposed career ladder, you're going to see that when you bring in the court managers and you look at that they have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, or their certification in court management, it's a different caliber of a court manager than an entry-level court manager. So I think, you know, and I can speak for myself, what I bring to Nueces County as a certified court manager, we have, I think there's a pending 200,000 Veterans Court grant. I worked on the PDO office grant. There's an auxiliary court grant that's pending. So you're bringing, with the expertise and learning the different things from, you know, the continuing education and the certification, there is something to bring to the table. And we're bringing things to Nueces County. And I just think that's something else that should be considered in your decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good points. Judges, thanks for making the time to come up here. Are there any questions before we move on? Okay. All right, again, our gratitude. Thank you. Dale, would you like to move forward?
No, I was just back up for the judges if they needed information. We provide the salary increases and the costs that they were certain, as we saw on the pages. It's around a little under $60,000 for all 13 courts that are in question.
Say that one more time?
It's a little under $60,000 for all
Right.
13 courts.
Correct. Okay.
It's not bad.
We have worked this to the bare bone, trying to understand that the county does not have any spare money. We get it. We have not asked almost in 20 years. So this is a full faith request for somebody who definitely deserves it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
everybody.
much. Thank you. Okay. Just making sure here, everybody. So Dale, I'm going to move on. We're good there? Yes. Okay. Way ahead of schedule here, but still, he just walked in the courtroom, is Louis Ray. And if you guys are ready to proceed online, we'll go ahead and take the last department before lunch. Just kind of give me the thumbs up. All good? Okay. Department 5100, 5105. And Louis, welcome. If you want to start with your narrative here, you've got a packet for us in here, and I don't know if Connie has anything online that you want to display, but if not, we can look at our books. Take us through your requests. I know this is your first time in doing it, but it's pretty casual right now. We're just looking for a summary of, here we go. Got it right here. A summary of what you've provided to us and the justification. Give us some of that background, and if there's any questions, we will offer those up as soon as you've concluded.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Court.
Morning.
Connie, do you have any slides from us? No? No. Okay,
But we've got this now. This is,
we can
if
go
you're going to
through-
follow this,
yeah.
we'll follow this.
and that's easy. All right, can you guys hear me?
We have two online, though, so if you be so nice as to, there you are. That's it.
That's it.
Never mind, we're good. So for the commissioners online, go ahead.
Okay, so what we wanted to do is give you guys an idea of what we do in emergency management, an idea of how we come to work and what we concentrate on a daily basis. So one of the things we wanted to do is kind of give you guys a background of what emergency management is, what's an emergency, what's an incident, and basically how we formulate an idea of how we deal with any issues that happen out in the county. So first we want to talk about our mission statement. So our mission statement is how we derive our daily tasks. And we wanted to talk about our mission statement so that the court can understand what we're looking at when we're talking about emergency management. Next slide, please. And our vision. So the vision of the emergency management is charged to reduce loss, protect infrastructure, and support the environment from all hazards. Now, most of us already know that's what we're kind of doing, but we need to articulate that to the public as well, so we did this. And one of the things we want you to see from our vision is how we're deriving an emergency or incident for us, and how we kind of come up with a concept of advising our elected officials on what to do when an emergency happens. Next slide, please. All right, so what's an incident? An incident is basically something that needs a response. From an incident is not always an emergency. So if you're talking about an incident could be a car crash on the road. That's an incident. It needs a response by somebody that has some type of authority, and they come out. But an emergency is a little different. An emergency is an incident that has a multi-jurisdictional, multi-agency, life, limb, or environmental impact that needs coordination. So what is emergency management? Well, emergency management is how we come together and derive those necessary functions to respond to an emergency. And how we do that is through what's called the incident command system or the incident command structure. So the ICS is basically a top-down way of giving orders to respond to an incident or an emergency. And as an incident grows, the incident command system grows as well. Next slide, please. All right, so during the ICS or an emergency or emergency management, we have what's called the disaster management cycle. So the disaster management cycle is a process of what happens when you have an incident or event or a potential event such as a hurricane warning that comes up and how we respond to that. And in the emergency management cycle, there's preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. So those are the key core functions of a disaster management cycle. Prevention comes along as part of a management tool to that cycle. Next slide, please. So within that cycle, there's 32 core capabilities that the emergency management, the EOC, can respond to. And those 32 core capabilities can be housing, can be cybersecurity, can be just coordination for hazmat. These are the things that we are charged with when we're thinking about an incident or an emergency management. How can we affect the loss of material, personnel, and environmental impact, or lessen the environmental impact in those capabilities? Next slide, please. All right, so as we talk about our budget, one of the things and we're going to talk more about it once we get into the presentation of our budget, we wanted to talk about some things. The EMC and the EMC specialist positions. So the EMC and the EMC specialist positions currently at 75% of usage, or 75% of salary at the median salary is about $77,000 for the EMC and about $50,000 for the EMC specialist. We also wanted to talk about and bring to the court is adopting a $25,000 contingency budget for on an annual basis for mass care needs. So that's when we go into a winter storm where we need to house people for a while, or a evacuation from a fire incident. We need to house people for a little while, which we've done a couple of times this year. Next slide, please. And here on the next 5 slides that you will see is kind of a breakdown on what you can expect from each of the members of the emergency management team. It's quite robust, and it covers a lot of area. So for going the emergency management coordinator position, I wanted to talk more about the emergency management specialist position. If you have any questions about the coordinator position, I don't mind answering those. I just want you guys to understand that we not only do what's shown on a daily basis as part of emergency management or the emergency management team inside the EOC, we have like at least 2 or 3 other hats that we kind of wear. One of those things is to work inside the ICS, which we talked about earlier, the incident command structure. We have designated jobs in that as well. Next slide, please. And as right now we have what's the Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator, which I'm recommending that we rename to the Emergency Management Specialist in charge of recovery. And the reason for that is because of the Emergency Management Specialist recovery actions, it's the largest part of our disaster cycle system. All right, so recovery has 2 parts. It has an initial part of recovery as well as a secondary part of recovery. And it encompasses from the start of an incident all the way through an incident closeout. So if you have an emergency and we activate the EOC, recovery starts automatically. That person should be the Senior Emergency Management Specialist with another role as acting as the second in command, so to speak, in charge of emergency management, as well as being a part of the ICS system in operations. Next slide, please. So the preparedness position is also large. It covers everything that happens and gets us ready for an event to happen. So the understanding of the equipment that we have, what we would like to call the functionality of that equipment, make sure that it works and works well. The interoperability of all the equipment that we have with other agencies outside of the EOC in the county. The preparedness specialist also is our lead on ERAP and STEER. Next slide, please. The response position. So the response position is one that you can kind of think about as the person who's acting in the now. If something's happening, they are the ones who's taking in the information. They're the ones who preparing our forms for requests for any additional equipment, or preparing our forms to start the send to TDM for if we need to start a recovery part. They're also the ones who gather all the information to give informed, in detail information to the court and the county residents on what's happening. The response person is also serves inside the ICS as the planner. This guy will be the one who's keeping us on time and on schedule for any event that happens. Next slide, please. Now, we wanted to change a couple of other things too. So we have a disaster recovery position, which we want to kind of rename as the Emergency Management Specialist for Mitigation and Grants. So inside the EOC and inside of emergency management, there's always grants opportunities out there. We want that person to be able to find those grants and bring that money home to the county for use for emergency purposes. That person also serves inside the ICS as part of planning. So they're pretty much the documentation person, but they also have another hat. If they need to, they can slide down and help out in finance as needed, and they can help in recovery. This person is in charge of our HMAP, Hazardous Mitigation Action Plan, as well as working with the recovery specialists to develop a long-term recovery for our county. Next slide. So in summary, for this slide chart, what I wanted you guys to take away from, the County Emergency Management Team is the primary response agency for Nueces County. We are partnering with multiple agencies and organizations that are designed to aid and secure public safety and public health. This year alone, I highlight a couple of things that we've done since the beginning of 2022 is we reacted to winter storms. We had four mass casualty events that we had to react to for the county. One was a team event with the citizens of Robstown and the citizens of Nueces County. Citizens of Corpus Christi. 8 EOC activations. Few of those for wildfires, which became a multi-agency event, which uses our interlocal agreements. We also had 2 huge specific events that we did and we helped coordinate with and we sat in on, and that is the Hurricane Conference as well as Buck Days. That's all I have for this slide.
Let me just ask, since there's a lot of information, if there are any questions at this point? Okay. All right. The only thing I wanted to echo is that $25,000 contingency fee. We feel like it's something that the court should just have awareness that it's better to have it in the budget now than figure out when you're on the spot and you need to be able to provide for our residents, whether it's extreme heat or extreme cold. It just seems that these weather events are becoming more consistent, and therefore the contingency is really to address what good practice has already shown us, that we need to be ready for those. And that way, there is a source of funding that's there, rather than us coming back and saying this is what we had to do in order to provide for people in times of crisis. Okay, any other questions here? Louis, anything else for you?
So, Judge and Court, if you want to go into the presentation for
Sure.
our budget.
Let's do it. It's located on 5105 in your operating budget. There it is.
All right, so we talked about a lot of all those things. We also want to talk about how some things that can help the county in a forward look on the way things are going. So one of the things that we put in our budget and we're asking the court to consider is the use of an electric vehicle. The electric vehicle allows us to do a few things. It shows the county that we are leaning forward into a new technology. It also shows the ability to use those technologies to help the county in case of emergency. So most electrical trucks has the ability to perform as a individual generator. So we do know that through STEER and through other emergency programs that we have out there, that we have members of our county that cannot survive unless they have free-flowing electricity. Those personnel that use oxygen, those personnel that are on dialysis, got to have electricity to help themselves out. Having a vehicle like that in the county will be able to deploy as needed. Now, we're asking for a truck because we do have equipment that we need to move out. Let's say that we have a incident where the court itself is closed down and we have to use what's called the continuity of operation, COOP. So with COOP, we need to be able to move from the courthouse and bring equipment with us to, right now, our COOP station is Richard and Borchert Fairgrounds. So being able to move out there using that electric vehicle can help us set up and be ready to go. If we have a call from a resident that needs electric power and don't have a generator available to them, we can move and transition that vehicle out there to provide them temporary power as needed.
Okay.
Thank you, Court.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions for Louis before he leaves? All right. Okay, in that case, believe it or not, that concludes our morning session for budget for the departments that were scheduled. You'll notice that this afternoon, we have a 1 to 2:30 lineup. Let me double check. I'm sorry, 1 to 4 o'clock lineup. And that includes, just so for awareness, JP 5-1, Constables 3, 4, and 5, as well as Coastal Parks, rounding up the evening this afternoon. Before we break for an early lunch, we had scheduled lunch from 12 to 1, so you're going to get quite a bit of time back. I actually had to look at my clock again. It's actually 10:45. Are there any questions for Dale, for Ida, for Teresa regarding what we heard this morning? Clarification? Sometimes it takes a little while to sink in. Nothing? Okay, it's pretty impressive. In that case, we'll just go ahead and adjourn for the morning at 10:45 a.m. We'll see everybody back here at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Thanks for you all being online. Bless you. So we're going to resume with our budget workshop. We've come after lunch break, and we will begin with Justice of the Peace. Gonzalez, welcome.
Good morning, Judge.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Commissioners. Or should I say good afternoon? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
We've been
good
at it since
afternoon.
5 this morning, so we're still going. Judge, thank you so much for having me here, and Commissioners also, and Dale and Ms. Dorsey, thank you so much. I haven't done a budget like this or presentation in about 10 years, so I went through a collage of stuff that I think my office needs, as well as some of my stuff on my precinct in the county building. So I just wanted to kind of, you'll see the kind of cheat sheet I put in front of you to kind of help you. So may I start, Judge?
Absolutely.
Judge, first of all is, you'll see Exhibit A. We are vital statistics for our part of the county. That means that we do death and birth certificates. And we just finished doing a self-assessment with the state, which is a 21 and 22 assessment, to be able to continue giving death certificates and birth certificates in our part of the county. And in the conversation with them, is they said that the fees had gone up for birth certificates to 23 and death certificates to 21, and any additional copies are $4. So we just want to make the court aware that we cannot increase the prices without a commissioner's court approving that rate. So that's something we can conversate with you guys later and present it to you if needed to be. But just to make you aware of that, that is something new that came across from the Vital Statistics and the Department of Vital Statistics at the state.
I was going to say, so it's coming straight from the
Yes, ma'am.
statutory.
Yes, statutory, and you'll see the statutes that are written there. It is under TAC 181.22 and HCS 191.0045.
Okay, well, I think she had to step out, but Teresa's taking good notes. We'll make sure if that's all we need is confirmation, and we can get that on an upcoming agenda. You don't have to wait till October 1
Sounds
to
good.
follow the law.
Yes, ma'am. And then
Okay.
also in that same topic is they've also requested that we put cameras to make sure that, I guess, nobody's gonna try to steal a birth certificate or death certificate. They're inside our vault and whatnot, but they have requested that we put cameras in the hallway and in the closet, in the room where we have the safe and the birth certificate. So they are requesting that we put cameras there. So that is part of also that they're asking for us to do as a safety net, just in case somebody was to break into the building and use those for fraudulent purposes. And since we are talking about cameras, we are asking the court to kind of start thinking a little beyond. With all the things that's going on in the world, our building doesn't have any cameras in our building. So we need a front camera and a back camera. And we do know that sometimes that the cartels are out there taking pictures of law enforcement, not just ours, but local law enforcement. So it'd be nice who we're dealing with. That way we can have a record of it recorded in the system, whether we monitor it in our court or at the constable's office. But it would be nice to have to see who's come in the building, who's not come in the building for safety's sake, for the people who are employed there, but also for the people who come to do business in our building.
Very good.
On the Exhibit B is we're requesting some double monitors. That's where we would, our staff would have 2 monitors to be able to continue doing work. This new system that we have, this new navigators, at this point in time, we have an open window policy that we talk to people that come into the building, as well as they come in and talk to us on the phone about citations or cases that are pending. And sometimes we have to close the whole screen to be able to conversate with them and give them the right evidence or the right advice, or see their motions came in or discoveries came in. So we're asking for 3 monitors for our 3 clerks that we have, so that they can have dual functions. One screen does one thing, what they're working on, and the other one, they can tend to the client or the persons who are at the window or on the phone with the other screen.
Would they come under capital outlay, Dale?
Monitors are more of a 5680, more of an office supplies. We'll need to work with purchasing. Purchasing may already have some in supply. If they do, we can work with them and get them to them now.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
thank you.
And also, since we're talking about that, I know that Odyssey, Tyler has bought in that Odyssey, and it's a great program. But now they changed the system to a navigator, and the navigator still has some issues in it as far as JP's issues. I don't know at county clerk or whatnot, but we're having issues taking credit card payments that people are paying at the window, accepting the credit card at the payment window. Also having issues when people are paying online. So that might be something we have to look at, if we need to retool Navigator and give it back to Tyler. I have spoken to the gentleman from Tyler, and he said they do have some tweaking to do, but at the same time, it's impeding because people are calling saying, I just finished getting a payment and it's not in the system. Can you dismiss my driver's license, or how long is it gonna take to hold off my driver's license? So Navigator still has some imperfections in the Tyler system, and that's impeding the judges to be able to do and the clerks to do their job.
Well, I don't know if you're listening, Daryl, but if you could give us an update on that. Daryl Earwood is our CIO and Chief Information Officer. We'll ask him to give us a little bit more details from his end, what he's discovered there.
Yes, ma'am. On Exhibit C, Judge, we're asking for either a whole new clerk, which would be, right now our clerks are in a group of 14-1. Our clerks are starting at starting salary of $14.91. And it's really hard to find good, competent people with the skills that we need. I mean, McDonald's, Pizza Hut are paying $15 to come in and no responsibility. We're asking the court and the commissioners to think about raising the group level for clerks, the same as they would at county court at law entry-level clerks at the 17.1. That's only a 61-cent pay raise. But at this point in time, I think it's a viable tool that we're giving them a raise at this point in time. And I'm going to offer you something in a little bit in Exhibit D that might help compensate the cost of that. But it's a 61-cent raise. It would take our clerks it's a $24 a week raise. It's in 52 weeks ends up being just less than $1,300 per staff member to go up, and we were able to raise our staff to $15.52 per hour. I think that would at least motivate them a little bit, develop their esteem and their morale to say, I want to stay as a county employee. We all know that the goal at the county is to stay the 20 years and retire, and hopefully we get the golden pot at the end, and that's if we live that long, right? But in the meantime, we still want our employees to live and make a living and survive out there in the real world of raising themselves, raising their kids, and being involved in the curricular activity. And I think requesting from this court to take a look at raising the staff's level to same as county court of law clerks at level of 17.1 at $15.52, and that would be only a $1,300 increase per clerk in that particular situation per office, but it's per clerk. And I think there's only about 34 clerks total in the whole county at JP level in all 9 courts. Or 6 courts, should I say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
May I proceed, Judge?
Yes, I was just looking just to make sure. So it's currently a pay group of 14?
14-1, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 14-1, okay. I see
And
it.
we're hoping that they can go to 17-1 and get paid at least $15.52 an hour. That's only a $24 a week raise for the staff, but bi-weekly, it's 50 some odd dollars bi-weekly, and I think, we'd be able to maintain our staff. We wouldn't have such a high turnaround because, like everybody, we're all looking just to compensate, to be able to take care of our families and make a living with what is out there. And sometimes we have great staff and we expect a lot from them at the JP level. They take money, they deal with the staff, they deal with the vulgarity sometime on the phone, sometimes real nice, but sometimes kind of abusive. So it's just about being able to take care of them a little better because the JP courts are client related. They deal with the public day in, day out, 40 hours a week.
Understood. What else do you have here, Judge?
In Exhibit D, ma'am, I have an option that's something that might be able to raise revenue for the county as well as be able to pay for some of these pay raises. It's called the scofflaw. It's a $10 fee set up by the state, and it is at the discretion of the county court and as well as the JPs to institute. The discretion has always been that the JPs never got nothing out of it, and we're the ones who implement it. We put the mark on the clerks put the mark on the vehicle plate that it's not renewed. They send it to Kevin Kieschnick. Kieschnick just tells them, nope, can't renew your plates because you have a ticket pending in court such and such. So, Mr. Kieschnick was trying to get, $2, $3 out of it for his staff. And since their staff is the one who puts the hold on the license plate, as well as removes the hold when they pay the citation, we were believing that we could use the $10 fee that is charged per citation, per vehicle, use the $10 fee it is once it's collected to use $5 of that to help with the raises on the staff and as well as education for our staff. As you know that the tools of JPs keep increasing out there and we need to keep sending them educationally as well as legislatively. And we have not had a chance to send our staff to education because of COVID, and now we need to make sure that we're prepared when we already send them to higher education. And in that, you'll see, Judge, that a total of the number that is there. So in 2019, you'll see that all 6 JPs had a total of 207, I lied to you. They had 21,760 cases. In 2020, probably because of COVID, we had only 15,853 cases. And in 2021, we only had 10,809 criminal cases. Now, that fee can only be collected on criminal cases. So in those years, if you multiply that fee by 10, you'll see that next to that particular case amount, you'll see that even in the year of 2021, we would still have a revenue of $10 a piece on the 10,000 cases, 10,809. We still have a revenue of $108,090. That would definitely pay for the raises for the staff, Judge. And that's usually the tools at our discretion that are out there that we have not utilized as JPs and as Commissioners Court. So that is a tool that we can use for benefit both parties as well as our staff.
Very good. And then also you have a move regarding the Calderon building.
On Exhibit F, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Now, on Exhibit F, we are asking, just to give the court a notation, we have 2 JP courts here in the main courthouse, JP 1, JP 1 and 1 2. So we're asking to kind of solidify, and I know that there's a lot of plans for Calderon building, but it would be an improvement, enhancement to our part of the county, Western County, to have both JPs located in the same building. And it's a move, and what I'm showing you there is the case count that each court has. In 2019, my court had 5,609 cases, while the court in Agua Dulce only had 13 and 9. So we have a 4-to-1 ratio on case count. In 2020, we had 2,501, but we had revenue of 391,000, while the court in Agua Dulce only had 598 cases. In 21, we had 3,342 cases filed with revenue of 488,000. And yet they only had 706 cases. And so far for this quarter of 22, we have 467 cases filed already, and they have 184. So we were just looking to, hopefully, it's at the discretion of the court, and there's probably a lot of particulars that beyond my pay grade and all the scales that involve and all the other things that are there, but it would be a prime thing to be able to have two JPs in Romstown. That way, if one is out, the other one can hold the fort. We do a lot of warrants, we do a lot of medical commitments, a lot of mental commitments, and those are tools that are discretion. Sometimes having a judge in that part of the county is a difficult issue. So having two JPs at the main courthouse would help utilize the offices that exist there, if that were to happen.
I think it's a good idea, Judge, didn't we talk about that maybe like eight years ago?
Yes, sir, we did.
I know it was on the plate, I don't know what happened, but bringing Agua Dulce to your court, where both of you be working out of that one building.
Yes, sir, and I'm willing to loan him my courtroom in the afternoons. I have courts every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. I have evictions in the morning and credit card cases in the till 12:30, till 12. And we see people, so if you were to bring him over, I'd let him utilize the courtroom that is there so that he can hold afternoon court if that should be the session or some other day that we could arrange to that, if that were a choice of the court. And also, especially since this is a year for it, I don't know if you'll do it by November, but whoever the judge would be situated in the Calderon building or wherever you choose it to be.
Okay.
Very good.
Now, one more item, Judge, well, two more items I need. I was looking to let you request from the court is you'll see on the second page is I really think that I have a plexiglass window that my staff goes through, and we've been trying to get a bulletproof window. It's only a 25 by 39 window, and I would really appreciate it. We could get a bulletproof window so that way, should some crazy come through the back parking lot, at least they can duck and hide or have a chance to look at it if that was up to that. I'm also looking for hopefully maybe get myself a bulletproof vest because I'm out there all the time still, and I do love my body, and I'd like to wouldn't want to lose any part of it, apart from the soul. And then on an Exhibit G, Judge, is these are not related to my office, but these are things that exist out in our community, and you'll see that I have you'll see that it says County Road 36 and 77. East and west, you'll see County Road 36 and 79, north and south, County Road 36 and 81 east, and Farm Road 28, 26, and County Road 81. I know that these are probably issues that belong to the road department, but these are country rural areas that only have a red stop sign, no light out there. So when it gets dark out there, it's pitch dark. And I can tell you that we've had over a dozen accidents in these three locations, and maybe a fatality. We just had an accident Thursday of last week where a car ran into a dually, and the dually caught fire, and we're lucky we were able to pull the two guys that were in the dually out. If not, we'd have casualties in that particular vehicle. And it's right catty corner on that 2826 Perry Foundation Road from the jail that's out there. But if we were to put, I know that lights are expensive, but maybe some of those glowing stop signs, that are solar stop signs that would be able to at least identify that there is a stop sign ahead, because one way is a thoroughway and the other one's stop sign. So if you see the east and west, it's the stop signs needed, one on the east and one on the west. On the other one is stop signs needed on the north, one on the south. And on the other one, it's only eastbound. And on County Road 81 and 2826, it's just on the north side. But those are safety concerns. There's a lot of people live in these colonias. A lot of hardworking people, a lot of people who have nice houses, and they're not driving drunk. They're just driving home from a long day, and somebody that's new to the area doesn't see the stop sign, and by golly, George, they run into somebody and they hurt themselves and maybe even endanger themselves.
Yeah, no, there's a new, I guess, program called Vision Zero. It's just a whole, zero tolerance for traffic fatalities. And the MPO has adopted this resolution. The city's done it, the county's done it. I don't know, I know there's some dollars on maybe that text.mpo side. And like you said, you could probably get away with doing a stop sign with the LED perimeter, but we can look into that. But the I think it's called Vision Zero. We did a resolution maybe, 7 months ago, maybe not even that long, maybe it's 3 months ago, I think MPO was about 7 months. We were the last to do it, but maybe that's a way to highlight what you're saying with data. And I can work with Commissioner Modis on digging up that info and maybe talking to our friends over at the MPO to see if there's any dollars there that are available to make way for more dollars to be used for other important needs.
Yes, ma'am. And in that, I'd like to let the commissioners know, I called the road department about 5 months ago. I got a pothole that you'd put a go-kart next to my store on Martinez Street, and you'd put a go-kart in there, no problem. If not, I'll go buy the 10 bags of cement and carry the sumbitch, but it's all right, you know. I just thought I'd make the commissioners court aware that there's a big old pothole there. Next
Okay.
on Martinez and Canales.
Well, that's perfect.
But
Okay, we won't forget it. That would be Canales Street.
Canales Street
Yeah.
and Martinez, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's what's good about these workshops. You learn all kinds of information. So we'll be certain and send an email out regarding that and see if you can get a status update, if nothing else.
Yes, ma'am. And if not, I'd like to see if I can get another staff member from my office, Judge. Our office is pretty busy. We have a lot of credit card cases. Our DPS numbers are down because they're taking care of the border, but hopefully that'll change, contingent, whatever it is. I do believe it'll change pretty soon. We have a meeting with the governor's office to make him aware of that. The traffic up and down 77 is probably at about 17,000 cars per day. And the speeding tickets that they're giving, we're gonna make the governor aware, are no longer 85 and a 70, they're doing 95, 101 and a 70. So it's no longer a factor of not being able, it's making our thoroughfares unsafe, and I think the rest of the citizens might have a question in that, and that's a conversation we're having with the governor at the end of the month.
And have you met our new grants director, Ana Velasquez?
No, ma'am.
Since you're in the building, I might just encourage you, won't take too long.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe pop up there to floor 5, go introduce yourself. I've been monitoring grants, and the bulk of the grants that are coming for law enforcement, security, protection. I feel like if she knew your needs, that she could be on the lookout for, if you can tie it
To something.
to something.
Yes, ma'am. And the last part of this is I'm looking either a pay raise for all the judges or a pay raise for me as a stipend. I sit on the South Texas JP board. I've been in every position in that board for the last 15 years. I sit on the JPCA board with the JP and Constable Association. I sit on their Education Committee monitoring as well as their legislative board. And this particular year, I'm looking to run for a state position as a director to be able to make sure that the State of Texas JP Association and the judges in Texas are looked at like we did during the COVID, where the Judicial College looked at Texas as a role model to set all other courts in reference to precedents to be able to, what we do with COVID, how do we run trials? So the board we have at this point in time is very interactive and very involved in the responsibility of judges and constables. So that's the reason I'm looking to stay on the board, that particular board. I've been on the bench for 20 years, Judge, so been on those committees, on those boards for over 15 years, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else you feel like we should get highlighted here?
No, ma'am, those are just some
Okay.
topics. I'm sorry I went all over the place. It's just, I figure that we talked to the Commissioner's Court. I had to speak to Mr. Matis, Commissioner Matis, quite often about some of these things and things that are going on, but I figure, since I have a little bit of time given to me, I might as well share the knowledge of the rural area, of some of the needs of the rural area that are vast, but some of these are important and detailed in livelihood of the people.
Understood. Are there any questions of the judge at this time?
Judge, have you met with Public Works on the stop sign or the yield sign? What do you-
No, sir, no, I have not, only because it came to mind because of that accident on Thursday, and I was like, you know what, I've got Commissioner's Court, I will go meet with Mr. Pimentel and make him aware of, but it's just, things come up and you're like, okay, tomorrow, and just a week goes by or 2 or a month, and you're like, dang, nabbit, I forgot again.
And if you could take a picture of that pothole as well, since
Yes,
you're going to
ma'am.
be visiting with him.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions for the judge? Well, you did perfect. You have 3 more minutes, but if you would allow us to transition, that would be great. I know you'll be available for any, responses that we might need to receive?
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners. and
Thank
Dorsey
you.
and Dale and the staff here. Thank you so much for letting no country boy like me come visit you guys, and I appreciate you
Thank you.
taking the hospitality that we have. Thanks again, and thanks for the time,
Thank
Judge.
you. I'm gonna get back to you on the
Thank you all.
Navigator
Yes, ma'am.
as soon as I speak with Daryl on that issue.
Yes, ma'am. And Linda, my staff is here, and they're really having trouble because people are calling to pay, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just paid, and it's like, come on, or they're coming to the counter and they want to pay with a credit card, and the transaction doesn't go through, so we have to use other tools to be able to reset it, to be
Right.
able to accept their payment. Now, since we're there, Judge, may I indulge one more time, is there might be another tool that we have not used, Judge, for people to pay. People call in for a citation, Judge, and they want to pay immediately. They'll give you their credit card number to pay immediately, and we at the JPs do not have that tool. Maybe that's something we can speak with IT or Dale, how to be able to do that legally, as well as being able to correlate those citations that they want to pay, instead of sending them to the online or by cashier's check or whatever. So that might be another tool we have at our dispense for the clerks to be able to take their payments, like they do at municipal court. Every municipal court you call, you get a ticket, here's my credit card number, let me give it to you. And dagnabbit, they take your number and they take the account number, direct from your account, and the thing's resolved.
So on a positive, you can leave here with some good news. IT text, and they said that the Odyssey issue has been resolved.
Good.
And as of Friday afternoon, so why don't you go check with your staff and see if you have 0 complaints now?
Sounds good, Judge,
And,
that sounds good.
But if that's not the case, or something else is persistent, if you would let my office know, or Ide's office know, just a quick little email, even just letting us know, hey, great. But I'm glad to report that has been solved.
That's great, cooperation, that's what makes the county strong, because
That's right.
we work for the people.
That's right. Thank you.
Oh, and the online payment is not very user-friendly when you gotta keep telling them, we spend a lot of time, and our staff is telling them, can you go to every call we have to count, and go to this, go to the screen 2, go to screen 1, this not. So maybe we can set up a user system, a customer user-friendly system, so we don't have to walk them through. And maybe that payment over the phone might be able to ease that.
Right. Okay, on those notes, I will follow up with you. That's my best,
That's okay, Judge.
my best promise is
Just
to
you
follow
hearing
up.
us is good enough. At least I
Yeah.
was able to vent my 2 cents worth.
Absolutely. And the scofflaw is
Double
something.
down, double down.
Yeah. The scofflaw is something that we've talked about quite a bit. And maybe it's time to get an advisory on that and just really look into it. Just say, hey, let's double check what the statutory abilities are. Also, Ide, you were out of the room, but new law allows us to raise the prices on birth certificates, death certificates, and the fee
Copies.
for additional copies. And we're not commensurate with what the law gives us. So that can be done at, June 22nd meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Just bring the background and but it has to be done by Commissioner's Court. And
Yes, ma'am.
it's actually on here. It's if you'll look, he cites the statutory requirements on his agenda. It's here, so we can maybe take care of that and bring in more dollars, which could also help offset some of the generalized costs.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you so much, Judge
Thank you so
Commissioners.
much.
Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you.
So perfect timing here. It's 1:31, and we're going to transition to Constable Precinct 3. And welcome. And I think that's Department 3830. Let me double check. Yeah, 3830.
I brought in some paperwork that I didn't get a chance to email to you guys. Do I deliver it?
Yeah, absolutely. Bring it forward. You got it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm guessing everybody here is going to copy as well. Okay, hi, hello, everybody, Judge, Commissioners. everybody else. My name is Billy Durbin. I'm the Chief Deputy for Nueces County Constable Precinct 3. I need to inform you all that Constable Rivera tried to come today, but due to a medical dilemma, he was unable. And he would ask that if he could talk to you guys at or address the Commissioners Court at a separate time, he'd greatly appreciate that. To add to some of what our budget proposal is.
I mean, I'm very amenable. What I think I'd do is look to Teresa, who's, you've got my schedule with Ide, and just maybe squeeze in some time, maybe on Thursday. Well, look, I'll just have to get back to you, but would you like to defer? Is he asking to completely defer, or would you like to go over?
No, I'm going to address
Okay.
a lot of it, and then he's going to touch up on some other items.
I think given the medical nature, I'm amenable, and I'm certain the court administration would be too.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So like I said, my name is Billy Durbin. I'm the Chief Deputy for Nueces County Constable Precinct 3. In our budget proposal, I do apologize, mine was not as well addressed as Judge Gonzalez's is, or prepared. But right off the bat, we're looking to expand on the amount of deputies we have for Precinct 3. So in our personnel request form, we're asking for 1 deputy with an overall salary of $41,880. Or I'm sorry, the starting annual salary, including benefits, comes out to $51,143. If you look, I attached a short narrative to the reasons why we're asking for the expansion on the deputy. Some of that is added to the additional deputy position would greatly assist our constable's office in executing a lot of the duties that we have, including our response time. It's going to help with our response time and responding to calls because the size of our precinct, normally we have 1 deputy on. If we were able to have 2, our response times would be cut tremendously. Adding that, we've also expanded our area a little bit, though the precinct itself hasn't, our patrol area has. We've had to expand out towards FM 286 on FM 70, and we do cover part of the Santa Maria Estates on 2444. And we've gone out to respond to calls as far as London and Maria Estates, just outside of our precinct. We've also expanded into Robstown, and on a brief occasion, Banqueta, to assist with Precinct 5. When they have 1 deputy available, we will back them up, along with responding to calls outside of our precinct to help the Sheriff's Department as well. Due to this, it has diminished our response times and put our citizens at risk, whether it be a crash, a disturbance, family violence, suspicious person, or trespassing. The local citizens in our area suffer if we cannot respond in a timely manner. Our average time of travel across our precinct is roughly 20 to 25 minutes, depending on construction and location. Having an additional deputy would allow Precinct 3 to cover our precinct and cut that response time down significantly, making the likelihood of saving a life or catching a criminal higher. The city of Driscoll is also in flux as whether the city can support a police department. If the city is to lose the police department, it will increase our call volume as well, which being that we also back up Driscoll and Bishop. With the current climate towards law enforcement, officer safety is paramount. Our agency must rely on other agencies to cover us for backup. Whether agencies in our precinct also have to rely on us to depend on, or on us to respond to assist with calls for backup. We rely on the Sheriff's Department to back us up. Bishop PD, Driscoll relies on us to back them up, and so on. Having an additional deputy will expand our staff to have an overlapping schedule to aid deputies having backup for officer safety. It will also aid in covering shifts when a deputy is out on training, leave, sick leave, vacation. At the current moment, if a deputy takes a day off, whether sick or on vacation, we do not have full coverage for the day, meaning a shift does not get covered. When we do not have full coverage, our citizens suffer as the response time can be longer for another agency to arrive. Precinct 3 covers many various duties that are encompassed in the law enforcement. We serve civil papers, warrants, complaints, calls for service, traffic control, traffic enforcement, crashes, and investigations. Due to the size of Precinct 3, each deputy is responsible for their own investigations, which can be time consuming. The longer a deputy is working on an investigation, the longer the deputy is not patrolling to detour criminal activity. Having an additional presence in our area will aid in detouring criminal activity and aid in the Precinct 3 office in completing our everyday duties. Precinct 3 is also part of the Nueces County Criminal Interdiction Unit. This joint effort has helped citizens not only in our area but also across Texas as the unit investigates transcontinental drug trafficking organizations by confiscating and prosecuting narcotics, human, and currency smugglers. Smugglers who bring in large amounts of narcotics that then travel our local streets. Smugglers who are transporting persons in some of the most inhumane ways. Smugglers who are taking U.S. currency back to the cartels to fund their criminal organizations. The Nueces County District Attorney's Criminal Interdiction Unit also has helped aid our local citizens, our local cities and towns by confiscating and prosecuting local criminals who push narcotics in our towns, cities, and rural areas. In part of that, we have executed a couple search warrants with the help of the Criminal Interdiction Unit in Bishop and Robstown. And then that's just a start of it. With the expansion of one more deputy, I think would greatly aid us in our duties. Going into the actual budget itself, looking at our our gas first and foremost, I understand hopefully $4.50 a gallon is not gonna stay for much longer. I don't know about you guys, but every time I fill up my personal car, I'm crying. I cry a little when I fill up the county car too. Just watching that dollar rate go higher and higher. And with that, we are asking for an additional budget on the gasoline. With the introduction of a new deputy, we are gonna ask for another fleet vehicle as well, which is gonna increase our gasoline usage. Our camera systems are pushing 10 years old, and recently found out that that model is no longer being repaired. They're asked to be replaced. So we are asking for 5 additional camera systems for patrol units, which is gonna come out to roughly $16,500 for all 5. Keeping in mind that that's gonna fall under maintenance, repair, and vehicle equipment, we're asking to keep the original $17,000 that we had with the additional $16,500 on top of it to purchase the cost of those cameras. We are also looking into a software maintenance, a report management software, which is what I handed out to everybody. It's our quote for CopSync and Cologic. If you look at that, it's a total cost of $9,000 for the first year and $6,000 for the following years afterwards, being year 2 and year 3. The report management system is our agency and the current status of we are right now does everything by pen and paper and Word documents. And if somebody calls in to ask for an open records request, or if we're assisting another agency that calls in asking for a report, we have to go diving into boxes upon boxes of cases to go looking for it. Compared to a report management system, we could type in the case number and it would bring it up to us, which will help diminish a lot of the time it takes searching for those cases. It'll help the approval process quicker. It'll help. It also comes with citations, which the addition of that would be for printers. Right now, we're okay with the handwritten citations for the JPs. It works out really well, because if we were to go into the citation portion of the CopSync, we'd have to get a system software upgrade for the JPs as well. Eventually, that's something that could be looked into in the future, but at this point in time, we're just looking for the report management system portion of it. It also comes with the TLETs, which is monitored through CGIS on the state side, so we can run person's driver's license and license plates to check for eligibility when writing citations or when on traffic stop. It also pops up with warrants. There's several additional areas that we can go into for calls for service. It helps with response time. It helps with it does do some small portion of it is a civil process, but not to the extent that we were hoping. But as for the report management system portion of it, I think it'll do greatly for the cost efficiency that it is. We're also asking on that total would come out to $9,000 with the $6,000 annual subscription after the first year. If you go into our other services and charges, we're looking at 6 tent meters for deputies on patrol, varying prices on ammunition. For a process, we're asking for $2,500, and the tent meters are going to be $600 total for 6. The ammunition is for practice and training. With the cost of ammunition prices and the way gun laws are changing, it's going to go higher and higher. And as for law enforcement, one of our main duties is to avoid anything that's happened, to train better so we can avoid and stop what's going to happen in the future, specifically with the mass shootings that have been going on and the amount of officers lost in the line of duty through gun violence. We're also asking for an additional 4,000 for new uniforms. This includes the entire staff. We're also asking to keep our recurring budget of the 7,200 so that we can continue purchasing what we need for our day-to-day operations. Going into this, we're also looking at a $1,000 increase in our travel and expenses to cover hotels, per diem, and registration for advanced courses needed for daily operations and training. And then that's pretty much it for what we're asking for. If you look at our total budget increase, including everything, comes out to, everything I've mentioned so far minus the deputy, comes out to $52,703.
And I just have a question, so I'm gonna go back to the software as a service, the document that you handed out. So I'm seeing really, it's very modest, the ask here on this
Yes, ma'am.
software. Have you talked to Daryl Earwood, our Chief Information Officer, about it?
No, ma'am, I have not. But one more, and thank you for bringing back up the software because it just reminded me of something as well. CopSync is very user-friendly for the law enforcement side. So one of the things that works out really well with CopSync is Kennedy County uses it, Clayburgh County Sheriff's Department uses it, Robstown, Bishop, and Refugio PD also uses it. I believe Refugio County also uses it as well too. One of the good things about it is like if somebody is stopped in Clayburgh and we were to look into that person, it'll show that they were stopped in Clayburgh. It also shows a map that you can pop up and it has a little panic button. If you were to hit it, any officer within a 75 to 100 mile radius will be notified that that officer's in trouble and respond time gets cut down tremendously.
Got it.
And I'm drawing a blank on what your question was.
Well, no, obviously I'm very interested in it because it seems you get quite a bit for a very modest amount of dollar investment.
Yes, ma'am. Bishop PD has used it for several years. Bishop was an agency I worked with prior to coming to Nueces County, and we got a lot of work out of it for very, very minimal.
Yeah. I don't know if he's listening, but maybe we could text Daryl just before you leave here. It's worth your while to show him this and just go over, what you've discussed with their rep and how you think this would be advantageous. The reason is that we just, as a court, gave him quite a bit of dollars for what I call software upgrades. And if this is what I'm seeing, which is 3,000 for the initial.
Well, 3,000 for the setup
And
to
then
register.
6,000 for the
and-
recurring.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the 3-year cost, the first, that's really it, 9,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I missing something here? This is like, Dale, would this
Well, normally when we
qualify
do
for
something like
his-
this, we try to see if we can factor in all constables at the same time. If this is benefit for one, it could be benefit for all 5.
Yeah. That's why I thought Daryl would be good for him to visit with, because you're so close. You're here. We might give him a quick text here.
Okay.
Okay, and give him a copy of this too. Okay, great. Well, you did a nice job. But did we miss anything, or commissioners online? Do you have anything that you might want to follow up on? Okay. Teresa, if you don't mind, you know how it is. Grab to a mic. Otherwise, Commissioner Myers won't be able to hear you.
IDA is verifying with the county attorney whether or not we can bring in the constable on Thursday at the end of the notice groups, because that department is not noticed for Thursday.
Okay.
So once she lets
Why
us
doesn't
know
he
that
just
we
come in
can-
public comment? Do we have public comment on there as posted inside the workshop on Thursday? She's saying we've already got it noticed a certain way, but maybe we can come in public comment.
Okay, and he'll probably be doing it by Zoom.
Okay.
Constable,
know.
are these cameras you're requesting, are they for your vehicles or are they your body cameras?
Body camera.
No, they're for the vehicles. They're for the patrol units.
I know a while back, we did get some other type of cameras for several other constables and the sheriff. Maybe you incorporate this as well.
Yeah.
Work with purchasing on it. I would start with
good.
purchasing.
The great thing about budget workshop is that sometimes it gives you unexpected trails to follow. Like, there's so much money right now available for body cams, just personal safety for law enforcement, including SIC cameras. There's a port security grant that right now we were trying to put together. I mean, all of that could really be into one. So I've got all kinds of notes here, but I may have to call you back with a little bit more info, but.
No worries.
This is very good. Tell Constable Rivera that Ade Hernandez will reach out to him to talk to him about which day would serve best. And we'll make certain, since it's already posted, how he can come in.
Awesome, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, thank you again. Did very good on time. Okay, so we're ahead of schedule, but you're here, so that's nice. We'll do Department 3840, Constable Precinct 4. Bobby Sherwood's online. Bobby, just give us a second here to, Commissioner Chesney, would you turn your camera on? We can't, there you are. Okay, there's Bobby. Well, you don't have to, I guess, if you're driving, but
Can you hear me, Judge?
yes.
Okay. As usual, my budget is usually short. The most thing that I'm really concerned with is the either renewing or reappointing to the ARPA money, the deputy that I have that runs in Clayburgh County.
Yes, sir.
It has greatly increased the amount of patrols and the amount of complaints from people down there. He works the night shift. And, you know, if I can't absorb him into my regular budget as I requested, I also requested to renewing the ARPA money for another year for him. The only other thing is, like everybody else, we're gonna need a bump in the fuel. We went through this about 10 or 15 years ago when Steve Waterman was running the money down there, and you know, we had to all show up in August to get enough money to get to the end of the fiscal year. So hopefully we can make it through this year, but we'll need another little bump in the fuel. And then I understand, and I've been listening to the ones that asked for dash cam and cameras. 2 years ago, I was told I could have them, but I still don't have them. But I understand from purchasing that they're putting a package deal together for everybody. So, you know, I didn't put that in my budget this year.
I think Dale's nodding his head that that's his understanding. Let us get you an update on that, on where we are. You're right, they've already been approved.
I know they've already been approved. I know the purchasing is working with all the other constables, try to make sure everyone can work throughout. I think someone either decided they weren't going with it at the moment or not, but we were trying to include all constables and the sheriff.
Okay, well, that's good news because, like I said, I've been trying to get some for a couple of years. But I understand if they do it at a package for everybody, it'll come in cheaper. And that way nobody gets left out.
Exactly.
It'll come in cheaper. It'll be all the same equipment and all one storage spot.
Yes, sir. And like I said, I do understand all that. I've been there a long time. I understand how that works. So that's about it for me. I mean, we've done very well with our budget this year. I understand new vehicles are going to start showing up pretty quick. That'll help with the vehicle maintenance because I know myself, and then I've talked to some of the other guys, and they're pouring a lot of money into older cars because we hadn't really had any in the last 2 or 3 years. So I'm looking forward to that. But rather than that, I don't need anything else.
In that case, we'll have you run away very quickly. That's a very helpful report. And we'll get back to you on the, on updating. Obviously, the court's got some decisions to make about ARPA and whether or not your constable would be included. So if you give us a little bit of patience, we'll get back to you.
We really need this, Judge. I hate to interrupt you, but I
No, go
really
ahead.
need that because if you've talked to some of the people out here on the island, they're very happy with this, and especially the ones that keep an eye on the property that we own in Clayburgh County that I'm responsible to take care of.
Understood. Very good report. Are there any
Okay.
questions for Constable Sherwood at this time? Okay, Constable, we're going to let you get back to your duties, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. We'll go ahead and move on to Department 3850, Constable Precinct 5. And welcome.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon.
Commissioners, good afternoon.
How you doing?
And forgive me, before you start, will somebody text Scott Cross? We're going to be way ahead of schedule.
He's on his way.
Thank you so much. All right, go ahead.
So what I'd like to do, start off, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm pretty much the quiet one. Constable Oscar Mendoza was unable to make it today. His fiance was in the hospital. All is well. They did release her today, so she's home resting. So I will be overseeing this talk today. What I want to do is I want to hand out just a little idea of what I'm going to be going over, if I can approach.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you. And if you'd provide the rest to Teresa, there's two commissioners online, so she can make sure they have it. We'll be sending it shortly, commissioners.
Thanks, sir. As you're glancing through those, I'll introduce myself. I am Chief Deputy Marcus Martinez with the Precinct 5 Constable's Office located in Robstown. I know I'm going to be going over a lot of things that have been said so far. I'm going to be echoing some of the things, and something that pretty much needs attention that we all know. And again, my apologies for Oscar Mendoza not being here today. The reason we're here today is to talk about how our community is changing. It's always great to see how wonderful a community grows before our eyes and how it affects us in many ways. Anyone who lives in Precinct 5 can see how development has taken place, and we can also see new businesses become part of the community. Let us not forget the new housing in Robstown, as we all have seen before, that we attend functions or ceremonies or closing ceremonies for the kids, baseball. New homes are being built in Robstown, and even especially in the rural areas, the colonias. They have all become a part of our community. The development not only making homes a better place to live, but it's making our community grow. That's the number one factor. That being said, when we see our community get larger in numbers and better with the economy, it reminds us of how the future that attend that area, schools, which include Robstown ISD, Banquete ISD, Agua Dulce ISD, and as well as all private schools and daycare, which provide the education in our communities. One thing we certainly can be said in everything I mentioned is the protection and services from our agency here at Precinct 5 Constable's Office. As we know, Oscar Mendoza was elected to serve the community of this area, to keep safe, and to continue to make the community stronger, which I believe we've done a tremendous job. We've taken part in the breast cancer awareness, where all of our officers wear pink patches, and great turnout. We just recently finished a autism for the month of April, a great success, and which all goes back to the community. So if you take a look at your papers that I've handed out to you, it's just a brief summary of what took place in the last 3 years with our office. As we know, and I probably might be jumping around, but if we look at 2020 Precinct 5 offense reports, in total, we had 211. That being said, 2020, we were just, I guess, working our way into the administration level of it, or part of it. Oscar Mendoza had just recently got elected. And then moving on towards 2021, we took a very, very proactive stance with our community. We wanted to reach out. We wanted to be there for our constituents, and if you look at the difference of 2020 to 2021, we went from 211 case reports all the way up to 635. Now, what does that tell you? It varies. Number one, my opinion, our community is getting bigger, stronger, and better, and we all been there, seen that through the pandemic. If we jump over to 2022, and this, mind you, we're just in May when I took these numbers off our screen. We already have a total of 266 as of May of this year. So we're projected to be well over the 600 that we had last year. All of these consist of assaults, criminal trespass, information reports, burglaries, mental health awareness. If you look back at all these numbers, every year they're increasing. Why? Precinct 5 is getting bigger. Sadly, our department's not. And this is where we come to you before you, and everybody's growing, community's getting bigger, stronger, better. So I think we owe it to them that law enforcement presence should be there to continue to, hopefully, I like to see it going backwards, if you ask me. The less reports, the less burglaries, the less assaults, it just means that we're doing our part. We're becoming stronger with the community. So that being said, our department is reaching out to the commissioners. This year, we would like to see if we can increase our fleet to 2 more deputies with all the accessories that it comes with, as we all know, and, patrol unit, uniforms, insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Also on our budget, we're looking to see if we can increase, well, I'll take it back, not increase, but promote one of our CID investigators to the level of just from a deputy 3 to a sergeant, because of that one division that we have, which is our CID division. And we like to promote him to a sergeant. He's been a very great asset to the department. He's still with us. As a matter of fact, he's here to my left, your right. And he takes on all these cases. Keep in mind, I'm not sure if everybody knows Precinct 5 is a 24-hour agency. We work around the clock. We don't stop. I'm not trying to bash the other agencies, but they are Monday through Friday, weekends off, holidays off. We're not. We have to work through everything. And this is where we're coming to you so that we can increase our manpower to continue those services, to be stronger, to be more stronger with the community. And if you also notice on your back 2 pages, the graphs that I provided to you is civil papers. That's not going to stop. We, along with serving the papers, we also have to take our calls 24 hours. If you notice on the graph, 2020, 21, 22, they have steadily increased. What does that tell you? It's just the population in our community is growing. New subdivisions, new developments, new businesses. So, and if 2022, we're already at 264. So we're only in, and again, I got these numbers back in May. So we're projected to surpass those numbers. And then, of course, it's showing a consistency for the last 2.5 years, 3 if you count this one, that our numbers are going to continue to grow, So citations on the very last graph, the year of 2020, I think that's where we were kind of like coming off the apex of the pandemic. So literally our agency only had 197 citations written. We understand that a lot of the communities shut down, not a problem. But if you look at 2021, we shot up all the way up to 2,295 traffic stops, back from 197. If we go back to today on the graph, 2022, again, as of May, we're already at 951 traffic stops. What does that mean? Again, our community is getting bigger. We're enforcing more stops. We're trying to keep the kids safe in our communities, speeding, school zones, after hour works, or people going to work a little late or something like that, Those are just some of the things that we wanted to point out. And I will echo on a lot of the things that the previous constables have mentioned, that, of course, the fuel, we all know that's, something that has to be dealt with. And as far as equipment, as far as vehicles, I will say this, and I'll give you an example. Just the other day, we had to replace a housing unit on one of our 2016 Ford Explorers. So here I'm thinking, just go to O'Reilly's, right? Go get a bulb. No. It's $285 for the housing unit, okay? And that's just to buy the part. they want to charge $190 an hour, and it's a 5.5-hour job. So do the math, we're looking at a little over $1,000 just to replace the housing on a unit. So the costs are rising. Everything's rising. Fuel costs, mechanic costs, everybody has to make a living. You know, cost of living is going up. The only thing that's not going up is the ability for us to keep these units up and running. So, and I don't have the numbers with me, but of course, we all submitted them back when the deadline was due. We're of course, every agency is always going to ask for an increase in their budget, which is understandable, but it's something that we really should take into consideration, that everything, prices are going up no matter where we go or what we do. So that being said, I will open the floor if anybody has any questions for me.
And I'll echo it. I'll ask if anybody has any questions. You're lucky. No questions.
I guess I covered it all, huh?
You did,
How many
and
officers working the midnight shift?
We, currently, our department total, including the constable and myself, is 12.
No, I mean,
But-
working the midnight shift.
Yes, and to answer that question, on the night, depending on what it is, we usually have 2 deputies. Or sometimes if we get lucky, we'll have 1 work Stone Garden. So, and that'll give us 3. But, again, and I'll reiterate, or I'll touch on back what Precinct 3 was just mentioning, that we all know the situation with Nueces County Sheriff's Office on how short they are in the jail, and they're back and forth, back and forth. That eliminates their patrol division. So when they go down, we have to come up. But again, we're only 2 deputies at night, or even at any given time, except for the daytime, myself and the constable, and Sergeant Aguilar is there, who can always help out. But during the evening hours, when the majority of our crime is occurring, there's only 2 deputies. Now, and again, I'll say Precinct 3, I don't want to go into details, but when there's an officer needing assistance, it's a 7-8 minute drive, you know, and we're hitting the floorboard, you know.
It works both ways though, right?
Right. So, but a lot of times we don't want to be put in that situation where we have to rush there and put ourselves in danger, you know, and just to get to the other officer that needs help, you know. If the agency's had enough manpower, I think we would be okay.
thank you.
Officer Martinez, I just saw not too long ago in the news where y'all did a great job on the freeway. You stopped a car that had narcotics
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, sir.
got some money out of it.
Yes, sir.
So
We did, and again, we're attached with the Nueces County Criminal Interdiction Team,
Interdiction,
and it's a great project. It's something that we'd like to build on, but it's who knows where it will take us in the next couple of years.
Well, y'all doing a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Good
Commissioner.
work.
Thank you.
And be safe.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate you being so thorough, and again, this is our first opportunity to hear from you, even though we have our packets. But just be available for questions, you know, if they should arise.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you, and please tell Constable Mendoza we will reach out as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're way early and we're waiting for coastal parks, so let's just pause for the cause here, right? And wait till Mr. Cross arrives, and maybe just take 10 right now. All right? Okay. Okay, we're back.
All right.
Scott, you're on for coastal parks. Your department is in our book 0180 and 081,
181.
181.
Okay.
0181, I should say.
Right up front, I just want to mention something to y'all. It's not in my budget proposal, but it's something that's having a very significant impact on me in Public Works, and those heavy equipment operator positions. I hope we can look at that through the process. One has lost about 5. I have one that's been open for over a year I cannot hire for. So just keep that in mind when y'all work through this process. Me and him have been talking about it, but I just told him I was going to mention it to y'all today. So that's it. So in our coastal parks 180, I'm gonna follow along what Harry sent out, Dale, you know, in the same format. There's nothing fancy. I don't have any slides to present or anything like that. I have the narrative there that talks about, in my budget, when you get into the detailed stuff, you're gonna see a lot of capital improvement projects. And I put those in there just to show y'all, the court, Dale and Ida, the magnitude of deferred maintenance and capital improvement projects that I have related to structures that exist. This is Mike, he's my maintenance supervisor. I asked him to be here as well. And Alana was on her way, but I had to leave in such a hurry, y'all were moving so fast that I left her behind me somewhere. So anyhow, so I put that in there because realistically, when you get into the dollar value of all those capital improvement projects, there's no way realistically you can fund all those. I just listed them to do my fiduciary responsibility to show y'all the financial need that exists out there, because Coastal Parks was not part of the original big giant CIP plan. That was, you know, everybody else but Coastal Parks at the time, and it still remains that way. Although some of the CO monies we're benefiting from, no doubt. But anyhow, so that's why I put that in there. Then there's also, this is on my narrative page on 180. We have a front end loader. It's on we bought that one outright. Never mind. We have a front end loader that we bought outright that we do not lease. And we currently have another motor grader that we do lease. I asked Mike to crunch the numbers, and I know that there is some kind of concern with these big annual lease payments, and I can't remember exactly what Dale told me about it about a year or 2 years ago, some kind of reporting I have to do. But the actual lease, 3-year lease with full maintenance agreement is actually more cost effective than purchasing the equipment outright, believe it or not. So we've ran the numbers, we've done both scenarios, and so in my budget, there is a request to look at another 3-year lease to replace the one that's in its final year and an additional one. Those two pieces of equipment, especially the front end loaders, are extremely strategic to our managing storm surge, flooding, and just keeping up with what's happening on the beach. And we typically end up renting one every year for several months at end. So anyhow, then we come to, let's see, this FTE request for janitorial, scratch it. We're not asking for it anymore. And Alana's got, and the reason why is that we were told, I met with purchasing and Ida, we looked at it and we talked about if y'all did not go back out for another janitorial contract, which we participate in, then we needed to plan so we'd have janitorial staff. But I gave purchasing what they needed last Friday and they went out for bids on it. So as long as we're still part of that, then we won't need this. It was just a backup because I didn't know what we all were going to do with the current janitorial contract that we participate in. So, so we can get rid of that. And let's see, Horace Caldwell Pier. That's another capital improvement plan thing. The current concessionaire at Horace Caldwell Pier, you know, we just got through, we're finishing up that brand new observation deck. That old kitchen space and that's where the concessionaire lives is, well, it was built in 1982, and it still looks like it was built in 1982, except for the paint and windows on the outside that I did. But we're really going to need to look at remodeling inside that space. And the best time to do that is going to be in the spring of 2023 when the current concessionaire's agreement expires, before we go out for a new RFP. So I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention. And then another part of my narrative, there's a bunch of road issues I've got out there, and I know that Judge and the Commissioner Chesney are aware Packery Channel Nature Park Road is absolutely horrible. It's the worst one I got. It's got to be #1 priority if y'all were to fund that. But so there's a lot of road issues I have that, you know, I just need working on. So when you get to this this sheet here that gives you the personnel stuff right there. Take the custodial off, since we're going back out for that. And then I'm asking to add an additional Parks and Beach worker. And the reason why I'm asking for that additional position is to support Mike's operations of running both an AM and PM crew. I don't know if y'all are aware of this. I think y'all are, but our operation runs from 8 a.m. till 10:30 or 11 p.m. 7 days a week, with the exception of 3 holidays. Those are the only 3 days we're closed. And so we've got clerks working well into the evening. We got maintenance that works well in the evening, especially during the summertime. And that's just another way for me to help support the PM crew, because we're not very deep. We don't have a lot of FTEs and very deep. So somebody goes down, we're getting a lot of overtime. And I know that if y'all have ever seen what I spend in overtime, you'd realize that I really hit my overtime budget heavy. And sometimes I'm having to do budget line item transfers to cover it. Then I'm moving the natural resources manager back into 180. I'm looking to, and I hope I did this right, promote a senior clerk to senior clerk 2. Then on the assistant director's position, there's been an issue with the current title and pay grade that it's classified as, and it's not classified as a pay group 29 where it should be. It's been a 26 for a long time, and that's not the pay group for an assistant director. So I'm asking to fix that. I asked this last budget year, and it didn't get any attention. So I'm coming back to you again to ask you to look at it. And I've had some good meetings with IDA about this as well. And then on the senior accounting assistant, Teresa was telling me that you can't do a step, and I don't know how all that works. Anyhow, so instead of that being what it is, a 17.6 to a 17.8, maybe it needs to be an 18 something, as far as pay group. And all I'm trying to do, the senior clerk to a clerk 2, and the senior accounting assistant to some type of advancement, is I'm taking responsibilities and adding more to them to help with the administrative costs, like doing the payroll, doing mileage reports, fuel reports, things like that. We've got some retirements coming up in my department, and it's going to hit us pretty hard. So I'm trying to make sure that these ladies are prepared to take on extra job responsibility so we can be administratively responsible to the auditor's office. Let's see. Let me get into the meat and potatoes, and then I know y'all are asking a lot of questions, so I'll move along here. To give you a little more detail, on our maintenance and repair equipment and vehicles, we were at 40. I'm gonna make sure I'm reading this right. We're asking to add another $25K to that. Though currently right now, like our front end loader is starting to cost us more and more to keep it operational. Motor grader, same thing. The maintenance vehicles, we were approved to get 3 replacement vehicles last year. They still haven't come in, and I've got 2 more that are down that I'm asking to replace for this current year. So until something happens with that supply chain, by the time I get to this new budget year that starts, I'm 5 vehicles down. And I mean, they're literally sitting in pieces in the maintenance yard over at Packery that somebody needs to scrap and get rid of them. But and so one thing I noticed that y'all did make an adjustment on fuel. You upped it another $5K. I'm gonna tell you that's not gonna be enough with today's current fuel prices and where they're going, especially with diesel. We use a lot of diesel in those fuel tanks, and we're out right now. Bone dry out. Then on maintenance, repair, buildings and grounds, we asked for another $25K there. 2,500 is fixed the gate at Held Hogan. That's that little piece of property we have just right outside the base. And by the way, there was a fire over there today, but they got it put out. I'm sure that alarmed the base pretty well. And then the Packery Channel maintenance yard, we need to repair the front fence and gate, and there's an old building in there we need a demo. So that's what that is there. One thing I did find out that needs to be changed on here. Now, Alana went back in and changed the thing on the the janitorial, you updated that in the system, OpenGov, or whatever that is? Okay, well, we'll have to make sure we get that to Lisa so she can take care of that. But Carol Pruitt called me today, and I understand his contract expires on June the 19th. I can't afford to let him go. I can't, because we still have the I.B. McGee multipurpose building and the Horace Caldwell Pier ramp and ADA parking that he started on that journey with, and I still need him to be the RAS and check off on that. And I asked him, I said, what would that cost? He said $7 to $8 grand to finish out those projects for you. So that's what I asked him today. If y'all decide to let him go, then at some point, I'm gonna need to create some kind of PO to bring him back to finish up those projects.
It's my understanding that it might be so that his contracts expire, but I believe he still has the ability to work on a.
Okay.
I do not think it's a shut. I thought we had discussed him being open to future projects with that contract on a case-by-case basis. We'll go back and look at it.
Okay. Now, don't get, on these codes, these account codes, I don't know these things like Alana and Lisa does, but on code 5311, software services and maintenance, that could be taken down to $320 because we finished the website. That's done. So we got that done. We can get, reduce that. Nothing changed there. We did ask for, in 5410, other services and charges, we asked for the increase to ensure that we've got enough porta potties out there on the beach to supplement when we close the restrooms. We're not running 24-hour beachside restroom facilities. They get vandalized. We found people sleeping in them, drug paraphernalia, and so we're not Buc-ee's. So that gives somebody an alternative, and it really helps to keep people from complaining to me and Commissioner Chesney that they don't have a restroom to use. And now, why somebody needs a restroom at 2 a.m. in the morning out there, I don't know why, but that's what we deal with. Let's see here. So we go to, yeah, okay, so you're going to see on contract lease payments, that's what I talked about in the narrative. That's that change there. There is also in here what it would cost to purchase those vehicles outright. I mean, those two pieces of equipment outright. And that's really something Dale's going to have to help with, because I just think it's a much more cost-effective way, because after 3 years, those things are so shot from all that salt water. And working with a buy board like Holt Cat, lease them, let them take care of all the maintenance, and then at 3 years, they're gone, you get you a replacement. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So I asked for, and this is something that we're all going to have to work on, and I don't know if we're going to all agree or find a way to forward. I asked for some assistance on mileage, and I know that a couple of courts back we had a budget change order, and that was for what was that, travel, or what was it? Okay, anyhow, the thing is that we don't have, our clerks aren't assigned to I.B. McGee. We rotate them out. And so they drive their own POVs up there. And, so we put in a PO after that got approved to help offset only their cost of driving their POV from Padre Bayou Park office to that office and back, not to drive from home. To help with that, because I actually been talking with the librarian, and they do that with people who rotate out to Bishop, and so I thought, okay, well maybe that's a way forward. So I asked for an increase here to be able to deal with that. I don't have the fleet to give them a vehicle to do that, and even if I did, I mean, yeah, that'd be an answer if I had an extra fleet vehicle to do that, but I'd have to do it for 2 shifts, or either I'd have to reduce the hours up there, and so that they're not clocking in a bunch of overtime, so we can open it at a certain time and close at a certain time, And I hate messing with our hours of operation, because that in turn could have an impact on our revenue, because there are lots of people that come down, especially in the summertime. It's not unusual for somebody to show up at 7, 8 o'clock at night and wanting to check in because they got off work, got their family packed up, Austin, wherever. Anyhow, so I asked for that. I would like for us to try to look at a path forward on that, and see how we can deal with it in the future and even deal with the request I got in right now. And then you get into, under this capital outlay, again, you get into all these, what I would call these capital improvement projects. I just wanted to list them here for you, just so you know what you got out there as far as your assets. One of them being, just so that you know, the significance of 5610, that is going to be $30,000 for the Padre Bay Park North restroom repairs. That would get the concrete and ramp up to the ADA compliance as reported in the DOJ report. These vehicle prices here on under capital outlay, half-ton truck and three-quarter-ton truck, I think they're a little high. I don't know what these vehicles are going for now under this lease agreement, and I'm not sure where they're at with Enterprise and all that stuff anymore. I mean, I know Romeo down there is really struggling to get vehicles. So that's probably a little high. The dump truck, that's a want, that's not a need. It would be really handy to have one with a water tank in the back of it. That way we could move debris and sand, and then the water tank, we could actually wet down the drive lane instead of always having to try to grade it in these really dry, windy conditions. Again, that was a want. You see under my capital outlay again, Packard Channel, very bad road. And then I have again purchased outright of those two heavy equipments, and I just don't think it's the best option. And then I already talked to you about the spring 2023 with Horace Caldwell Kitchen. And I don't really pay attention to these pie charts. And told you about Carol Pruitt. And I think that sums it up for 180. Oh, in 181, there was a budget line item based on some input for the board for a legislative consultant. Scratch that, take that out. And so all we're asking for is an additional $10K to help assist with engineers and engineering cost. And that one right there. And then on contract lease payments, the calculated lease payment that the county still pays for Horace Caldwell Pier is $90 short. So we need you to add $90 to it. So, again, pie charts. We don't mess with those.
Is it $90 short all the time, or $90 short one time?
Just $90 short from, 2 years ago? Yeah, so we've just done a budget line item transfer for $90, but just making you aware of it. And I think that's it. That is it. That's it. And, good news is, on the revenue side of things, I just want to let you know that first projected versus actual last year, we were projected 1.18 and we ended up with 1.52, and that was 2020 and 2021. And I'll tell you what really helped there, that what really made a difference there. When everybody else was closed during COVID, we remained 100% open, 100% operational. We were the only RV park around for people to go to. And so we captured that audience. That really helped us a lot. And right now, we're projected year to date to be at 1.6. We're currently at 1.1. We're just $500,000 off our projected mark, and we hadn't even gotten into the busy season. So revenue-wise, we're doing good, and that's given everything we've been through from Hannah to Harvey to COVID. So I think we're rocking and rolling on the revenue side. There was one thing that they changed back in 18-19, and I didn't even know this, and I really never noticed it. 38.5% of the revenue that we would generate through the sales of RV rentals and tent camping would go into 181, which used to be called our park capital improvement account, but now it's called our beach improvement account. I guess it really doesn't matter, that's what you call it, but that was always nice having that there because that kind of built that fund balance up in there off of our revenues that would help us with capital projects in the future. But we would like for y'all to consider putting that back. It'd been there for many, many years. That's it. Y'all got anything? This is my crew.
Well, you've got quite a bit that you went over. Commissioner Chesney, do you have any questions? Commissioner Chesney, do you have any questions of Scott?
Sorry. Not at this point, Judge. I haven't had a chance to sit down and go through all of this with him, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, this is all negotiable. I really would like to engage with y'all. I tell you, one of the best budgets I ever had since I've been here was a time when me, Dale, and Lisa, and Alana, and I think Day may have been there, we sat in their office and we prepared it was the best darn budget I ever had. So I really appreciate everybody's input and help.
Okay, great. Any other commissioners have any questions?
Well, like Scott was saying, if the best avenue to go is to lease the equipment, that would be a way it would proceed. There are going to be new reporting requirements for my office, but we're working on trying to get those resolved. So don't consider that an issue.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want to create work for everybody else. And everything else is good. Grants are good. Pier's good. IB McGee's coming along, the park office. We're moving.
Okay, Scott, I think we're good for today anyway.
Well, thank y'all. Y'all can sleep well tonight. Your coastal parks department is on duty.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Feel better.
Oh, this is D-Day, don't forget.
Yes, that's right.
All right, bye.
All right, super. Okay, so that actually concludes all our budget workshop departments that were presented today on our notice. And therefore, I'm going to adjourn today and ask that everybody be mindful that we'll be back here tomorrow. And that's it for today. See you guys tomorrow. Just be sure and take us off, Connie.